Boom, let's go. Obviously, a very weird Sunday night live chat. Normally, we are, I guess you could say, going through the film together. Obviously, we are not doing that tonight. We are all just sitting here waiting for the next head coach opening. Obviously, Lincoln Riley goes to USC, Billy Napier goes to Florida, and Bo Pelini is going to Nebraska. Kidding. That would be pretty funny if that happened. They're firing Scott Frost. LSU's next head coach is going to be Scott Frost. Kidding. I know we're all joking and throwing whichever head coaching name out there. Some of you have not even used the right Fisher. Instead of Jimbo Fisher, I'm now hearing some of you say Jeff Fisher, who would find some way for LSU to go 7-9. So yeah, this is, basically it. Cade, welcome to the channel. I think you're a newbie. So it feels like Woodward 100% knows who the next coach will be. Okay. So I hope you're right, Cade. I hope you are right about this. Because maybe, just maybe, Scott Woodward's number one candidate is coaching in the conference championship game next weekend. And that very well could be Dave Aranda, who, of course, will be coaching Baylor versus Oklahoma State next weekend. So, I think you could be right about that. I honestly don't know. I've seen some people say Scott Woodward's had this name in the bag and Lincoln Riley was never going to be the guy. And then I see some people say, well, Lincoln Riley played LSU and decided to pack his bags and go to USC. Now, let me start by saying this. At this point, do I believe Lincoln Riley really had an offer to come to LSU? I'll say this. I could say with near certainty that there was connection between Lincoln Riley and LSU, and there was probably some mumblings about what that contract would look like. Now, where those mumblings came from, I don't know exactly, but let's just say that there was something there, right? But for me, do I believe the next head coach at LSU is currently coaching in college right now? I do. So obviously Lincoln Riley is out. I know a lot of you wanted Billy Napier to be the next head coach at LSU. And he is, of course, not going to be the next head coach at LSU. He is already packing his bags and going to Gainesville. So obviously a lot of us have different names that you would like to bring up. Obviously the best way, this is going to be, a pretty lit chat. The best way to get your question or your name to the front of the line is, of course, supporting the channel, Venmo, Cash App, or Super Chat. But of course, I will answer as many questions as possible. Okay. And I will say this, everyone is limited to one joke head coaching candidate apiece. So yeah, go right on ahead. Unless you super chat, you can name as many coach names out there as you possibly can. Kate, since you're a first-time viewer, we will, I think you're a first-time viewer. What about Brian Kelly? So I don't think Brian Kelly's ever going to leave Notre Dame. I don't. But that would make a lot of sense, right? Brian Kelly, of course, has probably understood that he's reached his ceiling at Notre Dame. He has had 4 other teams exactly like this one. A one-loss or undefeated team that if they were to get into the playoff, they would get obliterated. So, yeah, maybe Brian Kelly says, look, I am packing my bags from Notre Dame and going to LSU. I'd be very interested in that. Let's go to as many names as possible. And Max, as always, supporting the channel. Lincoln was hired at USC the moment they fired him, in my opinion. we got to stop listening to these outlets. If we don't hear by tomorrow, Tuesday, it's either O'Brien or Aranda. In my humble opinion, Lane, Aranda, and Billy O'Brien. So I do agree with this. I do think if you were a betting man or woman, you would guess right now, more than likely, the next coach at LSU is currently still coaching his team in a conference championship game. So that would include a guy like Bill O'Brien. That would include a guy like Dave Aranda. I do believe if Lane Kiffin was going to be the guy, it would have already been signed, sealed, and delivered once Lincoln Riley said what he said yesterday. So I don't think it's going to be Lane Kiffin, even though he is currently leading in our poll right now. So we'll see. We'll see. Now, Lincoln was hired at USC the moment they fired, what's his name? I can easily see that. I can easily see Lincoln Riley to USC. I can easily see him eyeing that job. I've heard different things about Lincoln Riley's thoughts on going to the SEC. But the bottom line is that the Pac-12 is easier to win than the SEC. I think we can all agree with that. Okay. So yeah, it's very interesting. We'll get to Lane's tweet in just a second. I made a little joke about it and it went smallish viral. We'll get to that in a second. Didn't really go viral, but it got a few retweets, whatever. Enough about that. I think for me personally, I do think that, that Dave Aranda is a very likely candidate. Now, it was rumored that Dave Aranda got an extension, but we haven't heard a whole lot about that after the initial float. And I do think Dave Aranda would be very interested in going to LSU and getting back into the SEC. So Billy O'Brien, I still think is a very real candidate. Roby, I think this is the first $12 super chat I've ever gotten. 12. I love it. The greatest football player of all time wears number 12. And his name is Marcus Colston. Anyway, I hope the Lane train rolls in town. His defense looks better this year. I actually like watching the DJ Durkin defense. The only issue is DJ Durkin's past, and to a certain extent, Lane Kiffin's past. DJ Durkin, of course, a little bit more serious in nature, but of course, Lane Kiffin, I just don't see this happening. As much as I would like it to happen, as much as I like Lane Kiffin's been my number 2 candidate for quite some time. And right when the job opened, he was my number 1 candidate. I love his offense. If you actually look at Matt Corral's stats in the Egg Bowl, they weren't that good, right? Lane Kiffin has a very quarterback-friendly offense. He makes his running backs look like freaking Doak Walker, Jerome Bettis, LaDainian Tomlinson, and he makes things easier on his offensive linemen. So it's starting to get serious. I'm going backwards hat here. So, yeah, the Lane train rolling into town. Let's go. I would love to see Lane Kiffin. I would. Once again, you are limited to 1 Joe candidate per person. So, yeah. Oh, man. Feeling good tonight, guys. I don't know why I'm feeling good. I know we're all supposed to be worried about the coaching hire. I just am choosing to remain positive, right? So, yeah. Let's see. Max, let me know if I answered your question. Okay. Chris, I think you are new. Matt Patricia would be probably the worst name to hire right now. So welcome to the channel. Yeah, I would stay away from Matt Patricia. I hope the Lane train rolls into town. His defense looks better this year. So, Roby, let me know if I answered that okay. I'll get to Lane Kiffin. I will get to Lane Kiffin's troll tweet in just a second. I know a lot of you didn't see it, so I'll pull it up in a second. One more thing on Billy O'Brien for my guy Max here, all the way up in New York City, throwing it down. I always appreciate your support, man. Where rent is the highest My guy, Max, is always stepping up. Huh? So yeah, I'll pull up Lane Kiffin's troll tweet just so everyone can see. He also tweeted a photo of the Superdome, which is pretty funny. So he's currently recruiting right now. So when all this stuff happened, Lane Kiffin decided to tweet out this photo right here of a Louisiana license plate right there. So that was very trolly. Okay. And I did this tweet. Some people thought I really was serious. Lane wearing a white shirt in the reflection. Tigers wore all white last night. Lane to LSU confirmed. Some people really did think I was serious about that. So there you go. What's so bad about the X7? So there you go. I'm getting a lot of candidate names. Once again, as you guys saw, the best way to get it to the front is with a super chat. Let's go to Derek. Urban Meyer. I know I've gotten that name a lot. I am very pro Urban in that he is, no doubt in my mind, the second best coach of the modern era. Only Nick Saban's better than Urban Meyer. So I understand Urban Meyer's greatness. He knows how to hire a great defensive coordinator. He knows how to run a program. Urban Meyer is the only head coach in the history of college football. When he was hired, I said he was going to win a national championship, and that was when he was hired at Ohio State. I was in the Dome when his Utah team with Brian Johnson beat Alabama. So I'm a big Urban Meyer fan, but and that's just as a coach, nothing else. I don't want Urban Meyer now. Okay, the Jaguars are by far the worst coach team in the NFL. Their passing concepts have been broken down on Twitter a lot as far as being very stale and not up to date. And of course, Urban Meyer doesn't look as if he's in the absolute best frame of mind. So, yeah, no Urban Meyer. Let's see. Mobile County. I love it, man. Let's get to this right here. I keep hearing John Gruden. Welcome back to the channel, Katie. No, it's not going to be John Gruden. Not in a million years. I don't think people quite understand how bad those emails actually were. And I know it was over a decade ago, and I believe in second chances. So, yes, I do think John Gruden will get back into the coaching world, but not after that. And plus, even if you want to keep it just strictly football, if you actually go look at John Gruden's NFL offenses, name a Gruden NFL offense that you were like, okay, watch out. Okay. I've got to say, no, I've never seen one. So once again, John Gruden's film rooms with Cam Newton and all the quarterback prospects, unbelievable. One of the best Monday Night Football broadcasters of all time. One of the most talented personalities you'll ever see. He's just a very engaging guy. I just don't know if I trust him as a football coach right now. Okay? You're glad I'm saying no. There you go. Let's go to Jason. Saban was a bust in the NFL. Look at him now, i.e. Urban. So this is flawed logic in a lot of different ways. The first thing is obviously Saban was a bust in the NFL, but he was also not caught grinding on someone that wasn't his wife while the team flew back without him. So obviously Saban has never had an incident quite like that one. And a few other that have been attached to Urban Meyer. Okay. The second thing is, my point about Urban Meyer has nothing to do with this failure as an NFL coach. It has everything to do with this current state of mind. Do you really want Urban Meyer when he's had history of Title IX issues at his program? Could you make that hire right now? Probably not. So, by the way, Jason, welcome to the channel. I'm trying to keep up with as many first-time viewers as we possibly can. Sip G's in here. Good to see you. What's that, Urban Zabera? Let's see. I wouldn't hate somebody like Kellen Moore, but I don't see him leaving an NFL offensive coordinator job for a college job. He probably wants to be an NFL head coach. So Uh, I know Urban well. He's a really good friend of mine, and I'm always going to address the NFL guys the same way, right? I do not want an NFL head coach at LSU, right? One of the things that would be a positive about Urban Meyer is that it wouldn't be hard for him to get back on the recruiting trail because it's just in his bloodline. It's the same thing with Matt Rule. If you're in the NFL for a long time and that's all you really know as a coach, it's hard to get back on the recruiting trail, right? And that goes for a lot of really talented offensive coordinators. Byron Leftwich, Eric Bieniemy, anyone you want to mention, any coordinator. Do you really want to get back on the trail and recruit and deal with the circus that is college football? That's why the stupid Cliff Kingsbury report to Oklahoma was so dumb earlier in the day. This is a millionaire who is living the life with a 9-2 football team. Why would he ever want to go back to college? Guys, when you coach in the NFL and you're dealing with adults and it's strictly football and you have an elite quarterback, which Kellen Moore, Eric Bieniemy, Byron Leftwich, Cliff Kingsbury all do, why would you ever want to go to college knowing that you have to recruit 24/7, 365? I just don't think I just don't think the NFL is where you should go. Even though Kellen Moore is insanely talented, I still stand by what I've said from the get-go as far as Kellen Moore is concerned. If Dallas were to see Kellen Moore get interest from other NFL jobs and he was getting ready to accept another NFL job, they would fire Mike McCarthy on the spot and give Kellen Moore the Dallas Cowboys job. So as far as Moore is concerned, and Bieniemy to a lesser extent, I just don't think they're ever going to leave as the offensive coordinator until they become the head coach of that team, unless they get another NFL head coaching offer. Let's see. See some of the regulars in here. King Ulysses, Planet Low, JJ. Jared's in here. Antoine, Sip. Good. Want to make the regulars feel welcome. I want to also make our newbies. Good to see Paris. Paris was in here a little bit earlier. Katie was in here. Lewis, good to see you again. I say offer the whole house to Josh McDaniels. So once again, you run into the same issue you run in with what happened with Dan Mullen, right? Some coaches just can't handle this grind, right? Right? So here's what's interesting. Daniel, another one of our regulars. The king. Well, we always got to stop for the king, man. It's not you, Jeff. I love you, Jeff. But the king is here, guys. The king, okay? The king is here. Oh, hail the King Robert. Trey, thank you for the very generous Venmo. I appreciate you so much, Trey. So King Robert is the king of PHL. So absolutely love it. Let's see. Hitting the bottle, eh? I'm actually just sipping once again. For those that don't know, I actually just sip one lime beer every night. I never drink more than one. Sometimes I get a little frisky and drink two. But the main reason I actually still drink these, I'm dead serious. I drink happiness every time I see this. I love it. King Robert's in here. So Trey, thank you so much. I know, Trey, you're not someone that wants the attention. I really do appreciate you, Trey. He wants to talk about Lincoln Riley. No problem. And Antoine continues as well. The next coach must check all the following boxes: build program, offensive minded, recruit their tail off in the region. Okay, so let's first talk about Lincoln Riley, and then we'll get to Antoine Super Chat here. All right, so first thing about Lincoln Riley. All right, I know he was my number one candidate, but I will say this, and I spoke to some of you privately about this. I spoke to some people that actually knows way more about coaching searches than I do, that are way more connected to LSU than I am, and I've always felt this way. I always felt Lincoln Riley was not taking the LSU job. I still think he was the best candidate. Roby, thank you for the super chat. I am super glad Brad Davis is getting this opportunity. And I think Brad's actually been one of the better coaches on the team. I think Brad Davis and Blake Baker in particular have been superstars this year. But in particular, Brad Davis with what he's had to work with. Now, I still think we needed to work on getting another center, but Liam hung in there and played tough, and he's one of the toughest Tigers I've ever seen. Now, we'll talk more about Brad Davis in just a second. First thing about Lincoln Riley is he checks all the boxes, right? Great recruiter. We know that. Great program organizer. We know that. Great offensive mind. We know that. 6.2 yards per play, multiple Heisman winners at quarterback. Obviously, the defensive side of the ball is an issue. I think they should have moved off of Alex Grinch, but it's also kind of weird how it happened. Alex Grinch's defense last year was arguably one of the 5 best defenses in college football last year. They were a revelation. And then this year, they just completely fell back off. So I really do think Lincoln Riley is a superstar, and I do think he will lead USC to college football playoffs. I just think it's inevitable. It's a pretty good fit for them. Congratulations for them. I wish it was with us. Now, there's a lot of things that I didn't like about Lincoln Riley as well. You guys know how this stuff works, right? In life, you don't want everything handed to you, right? You want to be able to work for something. And I'm not saying Lincoln Riley didn't work hard. It's just in his coaching career, he has yet to fail. Everything has just kind of come easy to him because he's so supremely talented. He had the absolute best tutelage. He had Mike Leach teaching him. He had Bob Stoops teaching him, Ruffin McNeil teaching him. And he just put all of that together and took it to another level offensively. If he would have come to LSU, there would have been some adversity. At LSU, you're going to lose some games, right? Occasionally, you'll go 15-0 if you get the absolute perfect team. But you're going to lose some games. There's going to be some tough moments. I don't know if Lincoln was ready for that. I don't know. That was always something in my crawl that always stuck with me. It's not that I don't think Lincoln Riley's offenses wouldn't have worked in the SEC. I think they would have. You go look at his numbers. Outside of 2019 LSU, he's never had a bad offensive showing versus any SEC team. Outside of his first year as an offensive coordinator versus Tennessee, where he still put up 31 points and won the game. So outside of Dave Aranda, his offense has never really been stopped by an SEC defense. Now, with that said, there were some things that concern me. It looks sometimes that Lincoln Riley has a little bit of a thin skin. Something I could give Ed Orgeron a lot of credit for is when Ed Orgeron was hired, this guy had the thickest skin. This guy was told by everyone, you're a failure and you're one of the worst hires in the history of the sport. Now, it turned out to be true in the final 2 years, but he was really good in 2017. Ed Orgeron was even better in 2018. And then, of course, he was phenomenal in 2019. And then after, you guys know what happened after that. So part of my issue with Lincoln Riley is he was going to be given all this money before the age of 40, and there could have been that aspect of it. But outside of that, all the other boxes were checked. I do think it could be a blessing in disguise, knowing that he now went to USC. So, Trey, thank you so much for that super chat. Cali State Tax is a beast, but he'll be sipping mimosas with King James and all the movie stars. And the cool thing about it is if Lincoln Riley were to fail in LA, no one would give a rip. Nobody would care. Whereas if you fail in Baton Rouge, every single person in Louisiana will be coming on your doorstep with pitchforks, right? So that's the thing. If you fail in LA, nobody cares. Nobody will show up to the games. You still get paid a lot of money. It's just no big deal, right? Think about it. USC, this unbelievably talented program with as much history as any West Coast program, they have sucked and nobody cares. Nobody cares. And that's the benefit of coaching in LA when there's 1,000 different things going on. Whereas if you fail in Baton Rouge, you are the biggest failure in the SEC because we care so much. So we get to this next super chat, and then we'll get to Roby super chat. The next coach must check all the following boxes: build program, offensive minded, recruit their tail off in the region. So, according to Antoine's logic here, and it's good logic, Billy Napier would have been the perfect candidate, right? Because he checks all those programs. He's probably one of the better program builders of the coaching search candidates. That's another weakness of Lincoln Riley is, has he ever really had to build something on his own? So he's going to have to go out to USC and build something in a completely new environment, in a completely different culture. So, yeah, I mean, Billy would have been perfect with all three of these, except I do question Billy Napier's offensive mind to a certain degree, his play calling. A lot of Billy Napier's strengths and weaknesses are the same strengths and weaknesses of Jimbo Fisher in my mind. Thank you for the super chat, Antoine. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the generosity. We do have 260 people in here. I always go to the super chats and first-time viewers. Once again, we welcome everyone back in here. Glad Brad Davis was given the opportunity to coach a bowl game. Really cool stuff. Pretty historic stuff, too. I'm really excited he's going to get this opportunity. And Brad's been phenomenal. I mean, there's no other way around it. I do think they should have had a emergency plan for Garrett Dellinger last night. Keep going 5-man protection, and Dellinger was getting destroyed. We got a little lucky there at the end that it didn't come back to bite us. If you actually go back and look at the 4th down play, I wasn't able to do a film study. For those that don't know, that are new to the channel, every Sunday night at 7 p.m., we do our film study. We get very detailed into certain things. And I actually started the film study, and I was like, there's no way anyone's going to want to watch this. They want to talk about the coaching search. Grant, thank you for the super chat. I'll get to it in just a second. But I do want to share one little nugget with you on that 4th down play to Jack Bash when Texas A&M decided to rush 3 and drop 8. We got very lucky that their defensive end, who had 4 sacks against us, fired off the ball late. He did not get out of his 4-point stance quick enough. And if he would have fired off the ball on time, he actually still ended up pushing Garrett Dellinger all the way back into max. He probably would have made a sack and in the game. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And I'm so glad we won. So LJ is a first-time viewer. Of course you are, LJ. Never seen you before. I'm kidding. By the way, LJ is the owner of quite a few of our Joe Burrow card giveaways. It just means more. It just does, honestly. You know, I understand that phrase sounds cliche, and I used to push back on this phrase, but in the SEC, it just does mean more, right? I'm not saying it doesn't mean a whole lot in the Big Ten. That doesn't mean I'm not saying it doesn't mean a whole lot in the Big 12. But I'll tell you this, in the Pac-12, it don't mean a daggum thing. Cardell had his moments, Doc Knock. Doc's been in the chat since we actually started this thing. So, Doc, thank you so much for being live in the chat. Yeah, Cardell had a pretty decent game. There were some rough spots, but still pretty good stuff. He could be a starter next season. Okay? Over 200 people in here, man. I really do appreciate it. Let's see. Bruce Almighty says Brad Davis for the next head coach. No. I like Brad a lot. I would prefer him to stay on the offensive line for now. Maybe down the road, though, you know, you hire Brad Davis as the Sam Pittman type of coach, a CEO type of coach. So, yeah. Chris, good to see you, man. Okay, so we have an OU fan whose language isn't the cleanest, so I can't put the comment up. But I would like to put it up because, number one, your avatar is really cool. And number two, I do agree with you. Especially if I was an OU fan, I'd probably feel even worse about it, right? Let's see. But yeah, it was interesting that Cardell just never got the chance to play when our offensive line was disintegrating, right? So yeah, Caleb Williams to LSU. So Sip G, I'll touch on this really quickly. So obviously Caleb Williams is just out there now. USC has a quarterback by the name of Jackson Dart. I don't know what his year is. But Caleb Williams, what does he do now? Well, Caleb Williams actually released a statement on Twitter, and he said, Caleb Williams said that he's happy for the Riley family, and he is weighing his options right now. So should you make a move if you're LSU? Absolutely, right? I would, as much as I love the quarterbacks that are currently in LSU's room, and personally, I do love Max Johnson. He's given it his all this year. He's just not that guy. He could be in year 3 or year 4, but right now, just based on our sample, yes, he just had his best game of his career. It's definitely his best game since Florida. As much as I like Max and as much as I like Nuss, I would trade both of them in a heartbeat for Caleb Williams. Now, would I trade Walker Howard for Caleb Williams? I would probably lean yes, and that would be tough. I'm a big Walker guy. Just because we've seen Caleb go out there and just ball out this year. Now, he's had some bad, rough, awful games, but still. Aranda would be an awful hire. It's pretty interesting. Hunt SC. I think this is your first time in the chat. So welcome. Aranda would be an awful hire. Okay. I'm curious your reasoning behind this. Welcome to the channel, John Sibley Butler. Okay, John, I love your professional headshot. I love the tie game. I love the mustache. But we need to center this photo, man. You're glowing in that photo. It's just off center. We need to straighten that thing on out. The call has already been done. All right. I hope you're right. Listen to Carvis. By the way, Carvis, one of our sharpest viewers. Going for that PhD, Carvis. I'm proud of you, man. The Kardashians for head coach, OC and DC. I'd play for all that. Okay. Money. Yeah, Pete Davidson as the play caller. But thank you for the super chat. So, Danielle, you were bringing this up in our community page earlier today. Never Riley. That was a smokescreen to cover up the real deal. Look at this shiny thing in my right hand while I do the deal with my left. Hashtag ignored me. So, Danielle, we'll talk about Lincoln Riley for a little bit here. So, the first thing, obviously, and we just talked a bunch about Lincoln Riley. I understand. I think we all feel like we were wronged by a scorned lover in this situation. So the first thing here is Lincoln Riley is really talented, right? But the bottom line is the only thing you are judged by in sports is your competition, right? And the only way you can make it to the playoff, okay? This is the rare beauty of college football, okay? And this is, I love getting into the philosophy of college football because the philosophy of what you need to do to succeed in college football is completely different than what it is in other sports, right? In other sports, the key to going to the playoffs or the key to winning a championship is to go out there and win games, right? It's just simple. You go out there, win the most games you possibly can, and you'll win it all. But in college football, that is not the case. You can win all of your games and not make the playoffs, Cincinnati fans. At the same time, if you're in a Power 5 conference, it is more important to avoid losses, right? Instead of winning, it is more important to avoid losing. All right. Perfect example. If Ohio State had not played a program the level of Oregon's earlier this year, and let's just say that offseason game was against USC or whoever, they would still be a one-loss team, and they would still likely get into the playoff because of their game control and because of their brand, right? So that's the thing. In college football, the key is not to go out there and win. The key is to make sure you don't lose, right? Now, you should play to win. You guys know I'm a big guy on being aggressive as a coach and going out there and trying your best. But Lincoln Riley is just playing this smart. He is not strong-willed enough to take on an LSU job where the pressure is way higher than what it is at USC. Okay? All right? Every major reporter in the state of Louisiana covers LSU football to some degree. Every major reporter in LA covers USC and something else. The Lakers, the Rams, whoever you want to call. So I just think Lincoln Riley made a play here where he wants to go somewhere where he can avoid losing, right? Let's see. So as many of you know, Scott was in our live chat for the first time. So Scott is a personal friend of mine, and I see Scott making a smart take. He's been doing this his whole career, people. Scott Smith, I know you hate me saying this, one of the sharpest fantasy minds out there. Fantasy football and mock draft mind. I want to throw it out there. Scott, the most accurate fantasy and mock draft winner. It's a fact. I think you won that like 2 or 3 times. Anyway, people who think Scott Woodward is playing some misdirection game with the hire are delusional. He was arrogant, overconfident in his offer, and he misplaced his hand and is now chasing it out. Yeah, so I don't know. Let me answer this really quickly. John Bell for okay, that's your one joke. Okay. JBE, why not? So I don't know, Scott. But let me bring this up. And Scott, I know you hate it that I brought up the fantasy football thing. I always have. Okay, this will be the last time, Scott, that I bring it up. This will be the last time. Huh? I know you're going to destroy me for bringing that up. But I do think let me ask you guys this. Let me bring it up in a poll question. I can't check the poll from here. Let me see the poll results. It's going to take a while for it to we're over 300 votes in this thing. I like it. Let's let those votes load up. No. You know I love you, Roby. I think what you're saying, though, is the steadiness to a certain degree of Les Miles and the fact that we never went 6-6 with Les Miles. Wait, I'm mansplaining to you? Am I doing that? Oh no, Mick is. Mick is Mick shooting a shot again? Oh god. Oh god. Mick, save it for I don't know. I don't know where you can what is it? You can go to tinder.com. Mick, you might need to go to farmersonly.com. Cause you don't have to be lonely at I know all you saying the song. You don't have to be lonely at Farmers Only. I know you guys finished it out. So let me do this. Okay. Let's see. Farmersonly.com. Okay. Okay. Let's ask this poll question regarding Scott Woodward. Okay. There you go. Venus boy. You got it. Let's see. Rumor has it Aranda's kids are enrolled in Dunham BR. Could mean that Dave has always been the guy. Could be. Could be. The Ghastly Gamer. Woodward still being mum is a bad move. I really can't believe we're about to get Campbell or Stoops. Eric Peyton Manning. Oof. Guys, what are we doing? I don't know if you're joking or not. I know you're only allowed one joke, but really? Peyton Manning? Okay. So I've got to be honest. One thing that is very misleading about coaching is that you have to have the desire to want to be successful, right? Peyton Manning is one of the richest athletes ever. Definitely one of the richest football players ever. And he's got a really cozy Monday Night Football gig. Why would he? And by the way, Peyton is really, from what I understand, close to his nephew, Arch. Why would he want to then go on the road recruiting and do a job that, he's qualified to do it. He's one of the sharpest football mind probably ever to play football, play quarterback. But we'll see. I just don't think one of these celebrity coaches is the right move, right? Watch Stoops go to OU. Mark Stoops, I could see it. I can also see Bob Stoops, who, by the way, is the interim coach for Oklahoma. I can also see Bob Stoops taking this job. I could see Bob Stoops saying, look, this is what I am meant to do. I could see him pulling a Roy Kent on Ted Lasso and leave. Well, I can't actually say that. I'm not a spoiler alert guy. But I could see Bob Stoops. I almost did a spoiler alert. I always don't talk about plots on here. Okay. D-Bach. It's your first time to the channel. Welcome. It could be Dabo. No, I don't think Dabo's he's leaving Clemson. Top 10 classes every year, 5-star quarterback coming in. He's got a running back that could break Etienne's all of his records. And his defense was incredible. So yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. What if Brad Davis has actually been calling the shots since the Florida game and Edo was a face? Once again, Sim, I just don't. This is something that's never really been asked of Ed Orgeron. But one thing that I was always interested in is what exactly were his game day responsibilities. Obviously, you make the head coaching decisions. Are we punting? Are we kicking the field goal? When do we call timeout or whatever? But I don't know what all went into his actual game plans and who actually made the game plans. Once again, the assistant coaches are made available to the media. I've brought it up 1,000 times over. It would only be good for you, the viewer, if assistant coaches were made available to the media. Let's see. What's up, Jay Hill? I've said Kiffin from day one, and he's still available and not scared of Saban. I can't say it enough, man. You know how I feel about Lane. And Jeremy, you know way more about offense than I do, but I think you're going to agree with what I'm about to say here. It is relieving as an offensive player, and in particular as a quarterback, to know that your coach is going to scheme some guys open. So if you're anti-Kiffin, and I know a lot of you are, you don't like the tweets, you don't like the antics, you don't like, well, one day he's tweeting at Katy Perry and one day he's tweeting at Nick Saban. A lot of people don't like that, right? There's a lot of old school people in here that don't like that. There's a lot of people in here that don't like that Lane Kiffin left USC in a pile of trash. He left Tennessee in a pile of trash. The Raiders thing, he kicked the 75-yard field goal with Sebastian Janikowski, really. But let me say this about Lane Kiffin that I like a lot. And Jonah, I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for asking. I do love this about Lane. Against Mississippi State, okay, the weather sucked. So full disclosure, the weather sucked. But Matt Corral, who might just win the Heisman Trophy here in just a few weeks. I don't think he will. He's got a chance, okay? But Matt Corral had an ADOT of 3.91 versus Mississippi State. 3.91. So for those that don't know, ADOT is average depth of target. How deep does the quarterback actually throw the football? So Matt Corral's passes versus Mississippi State per SEC StatCat averaged 4 yards through the air, and they still blew the brakes off of Mississippi State. That's how good of a play caller Lane Kiffin is. He's really good in the run game. His run concepts are very good. Sometimes he'll run duos. Sometimes he'll pull the left guard, right guard, whatever. He's very creative, right? And in order to win a college football playoff, your offenses have to be elite in yards per attempt. Your offense has to be elite in getting the football down the field. So ironically, one of Lane Kiffin's strengths is yards per play in those things. And their offense still clicked versus a solid Mississippi State defense and his quarterback not playing his absolute best. And he's really good at coaching running quarterbacks. And obviously, Walker Howard is enamored with Ole Miss. He was allegedly supposed to visit a few times during the spring. So, yeah, I'm a big Lane guy. There's no other way around it. I've been a Lane guy. And Jay Hill, welcome to the chat. Good to see you. Let's see. Okay, so I've got to say this first off, Ryan. Pretty cool stuff, man. Even though Gordie Howe is the greatest hockey player of all time. Kidding. Gretzky stands are worse than Beyonce stands. They will come after you if you say anything negative about Wayne Gretzky. Okay? He's the best of all time. And I know nothing about hockey. I just wanted to troll you. But I shouldn't, because you are an Oklahoma fan, and I know right now sucks. You lose Bedlam. You lose your coach to the school that wasn't even rumored. In fact, the second school has two of the same three letters as the other school. And he just leaves you. And now you're stuck with Texas after the worst year under Lincoln Riley, which was this year. And Texas is now coming into the SEC after their worst year in quite some time. And you have no clue where the heck you're going to get your players and how you're going to convince players to come play in Norman, Oklahoma. Right now, Ryan, I'm normally not this kind of guy. And Ryan, I want you to feel welcome because you are probably one of the few Oklahoma fans in here. I have seen some others in here, so welcome. I think right now it would be smart to beg Bob Stoops to come back. You need a name. You need a celebrity. Bob Stoops is one of the biggest names in the coaching profession, and I think he would come back and want to recruit and want to get after it. I think right now Oklahoma needs to make that move. We respect LSU. Oh, no, no, no. Jeremy. Jay Hill. No, you're my guy, Jay Hill. Don't tell me this. Don't tell me this. I'm not gonna lie though. If there was one position where you need to know who the head coach is, it's quarterback, right? You just gotta know who your coach is going to be, right? I remember when Ryan Mallett, being great at Arkansas. Remember when Ryan Mallett went to Michigan and then they hired Rich Rod? He immediately transferred and went to Arkansas and played for Bobby Petrino. This I can understand if I'm a 5-star quarterback, and which I'm not, I'm farthest thing from it. I've got to know who my head coach is. I can't. I mean, that could ruin someone, right? And I think that's part of the reason why Nuss did what he did. Um, you know, Hey Hill, you got some fans in here? Well, you got me as well. So yeah, this sucks. I know. I still think Walker Howard's going to come to LSU, but yes, this is how I feel. That would be a disaster, right? That is a program being sent back type of commitment being lost. Okay, so yeah, we'll see. Once again, Jeremy Hill is obviously going to be well connected, and Jamie Howard is one of an LSU legacy. So Jay Hill, I hope it doesn't happen. We got to have Walker Howard, man. I understand you hear me say this all the time. There's no such thing as a must-get recruit. LSU is a school where there's plenty of talented backups who oftentimes are more talented than the guy ahead of them, right? With that said, Walker Howard, come on. That's a 5-star quarterback. It's a 5-star quarterback. Okay. Hey, Hill, they want to know if that's the real you. Okay. Very Real told me earlier in the season, but he was very imminent on that. They have to get the hire right. I can say with 99.9% certainty that this is a real Jay Hill because I've been on a show before and I've seen this exact avatar up in the chat. So pretty sure this is a real Jay Hill. Now, I don't think he could give you a virtual autograph. Heck, I don't even have a Jay Hill autograph. Oh, well, actually, I think I do have one of your autograph rookie cards up here. By the way, football card collector, make sure y'all subscribe to my football card podcast. Okay, look, I'm growing my Tyrann Mathieu collection. Look at that right there. Got this gold one numbered to 2013. Only 2013 of these in existence. And I got this one for a pretty good deal. Got it for $2. So I'm growing my Tyrann Mathieu collection. I kind of need to grow my Jeremy Hill collection a little bit. I am actually Joe Burrow. Don't freak out. So yeah. Well, Tim, it's late in the process, right? Here's the thing, okay? I can't blame Walker Howard for being on the fence about all of this, Okay. If he decided to go somewhere else, you can't play quarterback not knowing who your coach is, right? I would like to know if I was Walker Howard. And look, Walker Howard is probably the biggest LSU fan out of any of the commitments, right? It's a big deal to him. If you know a little bit about his story, you know it's a big deal for him to go to LSU, right? But at some point, you would like to have some kind of clarity, right? Oh. Let's see. I'm starting to get a lot of candidates' names. Jeremy Hill, I think this is one of the guys you ran over. I don't know if it was you that I didn't know if it was you or if it was Lyle that ran over short draw whitetail. I'm gonna get you hooked up, Carter. Got to get your info. Well, thank you, Jay Hill. You're my guy, man. I appreciate you. Hit me up, man. Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Let's see. I do need to grow my. So for those that don't know, if you follow my football card podcast, you know, this is how I am about football cards. I collect LSU rookies. So it's a big deal to me, right? I like to collect every LSU player's rookie base card, right? So yes. So let's talk about this really quickly. Let's see. I want to get back into the offensive or defensive thing, but I'd be interested to know your guys' thoughts on this. Trevante Citizen decommitted. I love me some Trevante Citizen, man. I really do. One thing about Trevante Citizen I like a lot is he doesn't have a lot of wear on the tires, so he didn't have to carry the load his entire high school career. Trevante Citizen is an animal. I could see him playing on both sides of the ball and being a special teams ace. He's got a lot of pop to his game. He's got a lot of juice. So, yeah, he decommitted. No telling where he's going to go. And he has slid up in the boards. Like he is up to, I think, he's close to being a top 100 prospect. But I do agree with this as well. I do think LSU needs to hire an offensive-minded coach. I wouldn't be opposed to Dave Aranda, but I cannot say this enough. From watching the offensive film, the LSU offense is very broken. Now, last night was Jake Peetz's best game, but even the second half got a little shaky, and this LSU offense needs a lot of fixing. I don't know why they didn't get out of five-man protection a little bit more than what they should have last night when Garrett Dellinger was legit getting dismantled. That was a really bad spot for a true freshman to be in. It is different when you're starting to start a lot of games and play a lot of snaps, and that wear and tear starts to hit your body, and you're playing 4A ball in Michigan last year, and now this year you're going up against grown men, adults, guys that are going to be going up against pros next year. The offense needs to get fixed. And there's a lot of different ways you can scheme around a left tackle having a rough night, and LSU just could not figure it out. And I go back to what I said earlier, and I was going to bring it up in the film study today. We got very lucky. Number 2, who had 5 sacks against us, fired off the football late on the 4th down completion to Jack Besh, because if not, he might have gotten home, and that would have been the end. Let's see. I want to see Trey Bradford get some more carries as well, right? Corey Kiner had that good run, though. That spin move was filthy. But yeah, I like Citizen a lot. I want Kiner as a starting back. I like Corey a lot. So here we go from an actual running back here. Running backs aren't as important in recruiting. You need a quarterback and great lines offensively and defensively. I agree with that. Also, this is very key as well. You only need one running back on the field at all times. Probably need 2 or 3 on your roster that you can trust, but you only need one on the field at all times. In offensive line, you need to have 5 guys on the field at all times, and you need to have 3 backups. So, losing Citizen is a big deal, but at some point LSU will get it back, right? I would be seriously shocked if TDP came back. Lincoln is from Lubbock. I do think that's going to be a very weird cultural shift going from small town Texas to LA. So, yeah. And this is key right here. The OC hire is crucial if the LSU. By the way, this is the president of PHL. I also have to say this. Cliff did have a scoop that Billy Napier was never seriously considered about, could never really considered LSU at all. And Scott Woodward, or no, the other way around. Scott Woodward never really considered Billy Napier for the LSU job. Cliff reported that, and he turned out to be very, very, very accurate. We saw our defense play extremely well the back end of the season with our B team and first-year coordinator. I am on Team Durante. I just think if you call this many great games in a row, it can't really be a fluke. I will say this. A lot of coordinators will learn what to do against Durante. I also think there are some things, especially in the red zone, that I would like to see him mix things up. I don't think you can just zero blitz in the red zone. Bama got us a few times on that. And A&M got us a few times on that as well. But yeah, Durante's really good. He was really good to close out the year. Now, obviously, I would like to hear from Durante himself. I wish they made him available to the media. He's a very interesting guy. And I would like to know what went into the defensive scheme changes. Let's see. Matt Rule has us in the playoffs 3 years, brings Joe Brady with them. Jamie, I would like to see that, but that's not going to happen. All right. Please leave politics out of the chat. I understand it always happens. Over 300 people in here. So I don't understand why you would troll the channel with politics. Please. Let's see. I don't know how we've done this chat, and John Gruden's name has been brought up 4 different times. Not Matt Campbell, who would be a fine hire at LSU. Not the best. Okay, Trey said Durante studied with Aranda. He's creative and adaptive. I just think, though, with assistant coaches, and I get this question a lot, does LSU need to retain Durante? And since we're talking about Durante, it's just tough. It's just tough. It's whatever the coordinator wants to do or whatever the head coach wants to do. So, yeah, I'm a big Durante guy. I do like Durante a lot. Very philosophical guy, world traveler, and man, his defenses can get filthy. There would be a few things, and we'll get into this during the Texas A&M film study. It also helped, and I understand that there might be an Aggie fan or two in here. Jimbo cannot call plays. It's just he's just not good at it. I don't know. I'll say this. He's really bad on the road in particular, Jimbo, right? So it's just, man, that helped us out a little bit. There are a few things that Jimbo did yesterday that I was like, what are you doing? And I don't know. I just think the head coach being the every down play caller is just too much. I really do think so. Let's get Saban. Yeah, caress that like button. Just go up there, caress it. I agree with this. So Jimbo's Fisher, and I'm interested in what you guys have to say, because Jimbo might still be in this running, right? Keep in mind, the and Texas A&M fans have told me this as well. The Jimbo Fisher to Texas A&M was not only far-fetched at the time, it was kept so close to the vest, and it had been agreed upon for 6 months. Think about the very sensitive information. Think about all the boosters and agents that are involved with Florida State football and Texas A&M football, and that had been agreed upon for 6 months. 6 months. If there's a white well secret, Scott Woodward knows how to do it, right? So let me check on the poll results. Let's see. Over half of you, not by much, do you believe Scott Woodward? Do you believe Scott Woodward already has his coach? Rara. Flores, no. Once again, NFL guy. I would just say I'm not on fire about any NFL guy, right? Jimbo's like he ran at Auburn instead of Alabama, or he won that ring. Yeah. I just don't think he's really that good between the headsets. And I know 2019 LSU was the greatest team of all time, and Aranda had our defense clicking, but I've never seen a more incompetent, confused, befuddled offense than Texas A&M's offense at Tiger Stadium. And look, I understand being shook, because if you're in Tiger Stadium that night, that place was insanity, okay? But they still only averaged 2.8 yards per play. It is hard to get murdered and bludgeoned on a football field and still not get enough garbage time yards to not at least average 3 yards per play. I will never get over how bad Texas A&M looked in that game. And I remember going up to a few A&M media members, and I was like, you do understand how bad that was in that spot. And I know his roster is way more talented now than it was then, but that makes last night's loss even more baffling, right? How is it not Aranda or Fickle? Why not announce? Okay. So, Alex, our guy Dev with the forces. I love it, man. Dev, you're one of the most positive commenters on my channel. You inspire me to do great things, Dev. I also need to get a shape up. Bad. So my barber started a barber college, and it's been kind of strange because some of his students have been giving me haircuts. And if you've had the same barber for a long time and you're getting a haircut by one of his students, it can be a little nerve-wracking. But so far, my cuts have been great. It's just you're not as gung-ho getting in there as much as you used to. But the cuts are slightly cheaper. And Jared said, look, Carter, you need a haircut. I'm giving you $5 to go toward your haircut. I mean, look at this. Look at this. It's part of why I'm wearing a hat. So Dev wants Luke Fickle. Okay. So we'll do this. Danielle, thank you for the sticker right here. Appreciate you. In Saban voice, Fickle was never coming. So quit asking. Yeah, I don't think Luke Fickle is ever going to leave Cincinnati unless the Ohio State job opens up. If it opens up, he'll be gone. And it wouldn't take much for him to take that job. And that's only if Ryan Day takes an NFL job, right? My top 3 remaining realistic options. Okay. So Danielle, your question has been answered by Official Friday. Doug Peterson, Jason Garrett, or Joe Brady. All right. So, yeah, I know these are joking. Jason Garrett would obviously be the worst. I do know Doug Peterson was in the state of Louisiana. Just throwing that out there. I had a few people text me that they took a photo with Doug Peterson today, ironically, but that was in North Louisiana, and he's from North Louisiana. His brother's a pastor up there. Doug Peterson, no. Joe Brady, no. Jason Garrett, no. I know these are all three jokes, but I do think Doug Peterson would be interesting. But of course, there's extracurriculars attached to his name. I think the issue, though, in Philadelphia, though, was that he didn't have enough power. Okay. So there you go. Let's go back to Danielle's super chat here at the top 3 realistic options for you. So I'm still, and I know this sounds crazy, but I'm still a big Tuck guy. Mel a lot. But he's a defensive coach. I prefer an offensive coach. I do think Mel's going to win big in Michigan State. But I would not have paid the money to get Mel Tucker because it would have been so expensive to get a coach with one winning season. And on top of that, as I've always said with Mel Tucker, if I'm Mel Tucker, I'm never leaving a job that is giving me that much money despite nothing. With no results, right? He had one winning season, and now he is getting in the vicinity of what Saban gets paid, right? It's pretty crazy. So once again, I don't think Mel was ever realistic because of how deep Michigan State's pockets, but he was in my top 5. Now, my top 3. Well, Mel was floating around my top 5. He was like 5 or 6. My top 3 remaining realistic options. So I was really high on Billy Napier. I liked him a lot. I was a little concerned about his vertical passing game. So yeah. He goes to Florida. Are we going to regret it? I don't know. I think for me, Billy is extremely talented. I like Billy Napier more than Mark Stoops. I like Billy Napier more than Bill O'Brien. I'll tell you this, though, Danielle. I freaking love me some Matt Campbell. And I think Matt Campbell would do really well here. Okay. He's put up really good yard per play and really good yard per attempt numbers, despite not having elite quarterback play in what is very clearly the 3rd best Power 5 conference in college football. This is a guy who's been courted for NFL jobs. This is a guy who has put some really good players into the NFL despite being at Iowa State. Iowa State's football program history was Seneca Wallace, and that was it. Now, I understand they underperformed this year, and I also understand a big thing about Matt Campbell is that his teams do have a tendency to start off slow, but he's good between the headset, and I just like him a lot. I really do. And he's also very realistic, and that's a very key part of your question here. Okay. He's realistic. Did I miss your super chat, Alex? I'm sorry about that. Let me see. Oh, well, yeah, I've been talking about Luke Fickell and Dave Aranda. So apology, Alex, once again. How is it not Aranda or Fickell? Why not announce? So if I didn't acknowledge it, once again, apologies. Really, apologies. Now, why not announce? Let me see. Why not announce now? How is it not Aranda or Fickell? Why not? How is it not Aranda? Oh, I see what you're saying. So if it's not either one of those two, why won't you go on ahead and announce it? Apologies. So I do think it's going to be someone that's coaching in conference championship weekend. And obviously, that brings up Dave Aranda's name again. And that also brings up Bill O'Brien's name again. I would stay away from Bill O'Brien. So once again, Alex, I'm sorry. But this goes along with what let me see. This goes along. let's see. So, Alex, let me know who would you prefer out of those two, Dave Aranda or Luke Fickle. So, once again, Alex, my apologies. I also like the purple helmet, but I'm not gonna lie, guys. I like the all white uniforms. I do. I think we should bring them back. Okay. Let's see. I know Blake pretty well. Okay. At Are You Serious? Blake's a really good dude. He doesn't like Mac. He doesn't like Matt Campbell. That's fine. I like Matt Campbell. Right. Let's see. So let me follow up on Danielle. Once again, we have over 300 people. That's part of it as well. We normally have well over 100 in post game live chats. We rarely have this much. So once again, Alex is part of it. It's crazy. It could be like a coming out, and because of the StreamYard software, I can't actually see the poll question. Do you believe Scott Woodward has his coach? It is 50-50 on the money. So, Danielle, I'm going to say Matt Campbell is very realistic at this point. I do think right now, if you had to, and I know I've gotten this question a lot, if I had to pick, it let's you say my life depended on it. If I had to pick one person who I think the next coach of LSU will be right now, I would say it's Dave Aranda. I would. That would be my best guess. Um, but once again, that's it. Now, as far as the top three most realistic coaches, I don't know. I don't know as far as that. LJ, no need to chubby shame, right? If Stoops is our next head coach, he would weigh 500 after a year in BR. Uh, there you go, Alex. So you like Luke Fickle better. So let's talk about Luke Fickle for a little bit. Okay. So I like Fickle a lot. Obviously, a defensive minded coach. His offenses have been really good. I will say this, though, right? Cincinnati struggled to move the football on a very average Indiana team earlier this year, even though that was on the road. And if you actually go back and look at the Georgia numbers last year, that game was really, really, really strange. Okay. And it wasn't coached all that well at the end. Luke Fickle made a very conservative play call at the end of the game that potentially cost them that game versus Georgia. So that's a big X for me. But at the same time, Lane Kiffin, who's known for his aggressiveness, can get a little tentative at the end of games as well, right? But a lot of coaches do this. Brian Harsin did this versus Alabama this past weekend. So Luke Fickle, defensive-minded coach. I prefer an offensive-minded coach. Luke Fickle, very happy in Ohio, has never coached outside of the state of Ohio. Would he want to leave a job where he is the guy? Once again, I can't get over this enough, right? This goes along the same thing when you look at a candidate like Mike Gundy or Dabo Sweeney. At their schools, the program is as much about them as it is about the program, right? They made those programs what they are right now. Okay. Where at LSU, the program is always going to be bigger than the coach. It just will. Unless the coach comes in here and wins 10 national championships, the one stat that's always going to coincide with LSU is that the last three coaches all won national championships. Okay. And, there's a lot of pressure if you're just going to if you win another championship, you're expected to do that. Right. So, this LSU job is a blessing and a curse. You're given the most fertile recruiting ground on the planet. So, you know, at the same time, you're expected to do really big things with those things, right? Uh, let's see. Why do y'all think Fickle would leave? He turned down Michigan State. He would only leave for Ohio State. I just think he's waiting for that job. I really do. I just think he's waiting for Ryan Day to take an NFL job and go from there. Woodward may end up costing LSU in the long run with the so-called big game hunting. 256-0. You've been with me for a while now. I don't know, because if he's had a name the whole time, it's no big deal. So Jared, one of our main contributors, says, I'll take Stoops. I'm impatient. Okay. Sarah Silver, I'm telling you, Jimbo is the hire. Welcome to the channel, Sarah. I appreciate it. Nolan, I kind of don't want to answer this because you haven't been around in a while, Nolan. You're my guy, man. What's up with you, buddy? I'm kidding, man. What's going on, Nolan? I hadn't seen you in a minute. It's been a hot minute, man. The last time I saw you, man, I made a healthy choice in eating. Like, it's been that long. I legit tonight had dry ranch rub chicken wings and some potato wedges, and I am feeling glorious right now. You could put another one in the freeze. You know what's funny? I would not be opposed. I'll say this. If there is an offensive coordinator that I would be very interested in, I know this is going to sound crazy. I love me some Jeff Grimes. I know I'm a little bit higher on Jeff Grimes than pretty much every human being on this planet. I think the world of this man. I really do, right? He's just really freaking good at coaching. I'll tell you this. Our offensive line will be a lot better with Jeff Grimes. Doc, that's fine, man. I don't even know. I get these messages a lot. Carter, man, I was listening to so-and-so, someone else. That's fine. It's okay. There's other good LSU YouTube channels. I'm not one of those, well, I'm the best one. No, that's impossible, right? We all have different tastes, right? Some people think Dave Chappelle's the best comedian of all time. Some people think Bill Burr's the best comedian of all time. Some people think Brian Regan is the best comedian of all time. Those are three different guys, right? We all have different tastes. It's fine. But at least you still think of me. Let's see. Well, tell me what he said, Doc. If you're going to cheat on me, man, you gotta give me some info, buddy. Firmus Paradox, welcome to the channel. Dan Blackshire, welcome to the channel. I'll tell her. Yeah, so I touched on it a little bit earlier. Trevante Citizen decommitting. It happens, right? When you're in a coaching search, people are going to decommit. That's all there is to it, all right? Pryor, Scott, I know you're a big stand-up fan. Let's see here. Ron White, the best of all time. I like it. I talk about comedy for 2 seconds and I lose 25 viewers. I think everybody went to Jordy's show. See what you did, Doc? I'm kidding. All good, man. Let's see. Cristobal, Rule, Dave, and Stoops. Carter, can you talk about Jay Hill just saying that Stoops and Lincoln were the only ones to get offers and Aranda was never in the mix? I've heard that as well, just from different reports. Jay Hill, probably knows more about this than I do as far as, being in the inner workings of the program. I honestly just don't know. Like, I don't know who's been offered. I don't know. I just don't. I don't think anyone really knows sure who actually been offered or not. Team Thompson Bass Fishing, one of my favorite viewers. Good to have you back. He needs to get this done. When and who do you think it'll be? So it's kind of weird that it's not been announced yet. If I'll say this, if it's not announced by tomorrow, I could see this being announced after next Sunday after conference championship weekend, right? So I've got to say Team Thompson. I would guess if it's not tomorrow, it'll be next Sunday, right? And I know that would be excruciating for every single one of you. Well, we'll see. Graylin, good to hear from you. I hate that I didn't get to see you at the meetup, right? So to answer this very nice super chat here, when and who do you think it'll be? Good question. Once again, I'm going to still stand by what I said. I still think Dave Aranda is the most likely name at this point. That's just a guess. No inner working knowledge, none of that. The only thing that I've heard is he is really valuing experience, and that is something Dave Aranda doesn't have a lot of as a head coach. So that would be something that would deter me, or would deter Woodward from Dave Aranda, right? Do you think Lincoln duped Woodward? I think there's some of that. I do. So I was talking to this ironically with Blake earlier, and here's what I think happened. Okay, so whenever your name is attached to a 12 million, why does my hand look yellow? I think it's the light. Okay, whenever your name is attached to a job and $12 million, you're never just going to say no because you gain something called leverage, right? So if someone says $12 million, right, and you're getting potentially offered $12 million. Well, Oklahoma, who is famously known for being a little bit tighter with their money, we've had a few OU fans come in and comment about that. Some of that is true, some of that's not. I still think Oklahoma would eventually have found some way to match if it came down to it. But I think I think Lincoln was ready to go anyway. I do think there was some of that. I do think there were numbers being discussed. Do I think that this was a smokescreen for the USC job? I actually do believe that to a certain degree. I do. But once again, head coaching searches in college football are so different in that there is a level above yours that you have to worry about, which of course is the NFL, right? Now you have to worry about that in college basketball and other sports, but the head coach just doesn't carry as much weight in those sports as it does in college football. So, yeah, I mean, it's really, really, really wild. So this is what's key. Aranda signed an extension with Baylor 2 days ago, so why would he consider LSU? But this is the thing. Did he sign an extension? He might. And if he did, would it really matter with what LSU could potentially pay him? Okay. Lincoln only took the USC job because Hawaii wasn't open. He is running as far west as he can to not have to face the SEC. When Riley asked, said, I know who my daddy is. Huh? 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 Ah. I loved it. I agree with this to a certain degree as well. Whoever said Lincoln is soft, I apologize for not believing you. Yeah. You know what? I love Lincoln Riley. I think he's going to be a superstar. I think he'll win it. I think he'll win a national championship at some point. I think he'll take USC to the playoff, right? But there is some of this to it as well. This is a guy who hasn't really had to deal with adversity during his coaching tenure, right? So, yeah. Let's see. Thank you, Danielle. Again, I say Saban trying to make. By the way, Danielle, I hope you had safe travel to Georgia. Hope the drive was fantastic. Let's see. Again, I say Saban trying to make up for doing us dirty, and at the end of his career comes back to make it right. Well, you know what's funny? So Danielle, Danny girl, says, bring back Miss Terry. So it is interesting, right? So Terry Saban is obviously a legend. She played an instrumental role not only in Nick Saban's rise, but in Nick Saban's journey back to Baton Rouge. Terry visited LSU's campus before Nick accepted the job. And she said she made some observations, right? I think Bill Simmons said this before, and I'm a big Bill Simmons fan. He said this in a blog, I believe, and this was many years ago. He said his favorite person to take to a basketball game when he's got good tickets is his wife, because a wife is going to observe things a little bit different than how you observe it, right? Or how a friend would observe it. Because if you bring a friend, that friend probably observes things very similar to you, right? So I actually do believe Miss Terry is a big reason why Nick succeeds, right? So yeah. So let me talk about this really quickly. As far as and we touched on this a little bit earlier. As far as Lincoln Riley running from competition, actually, I agree with that. It makes sense, right? It's just better in college football to avoid losses. And in the SEC, it's going to be harder to do that. All right. I agree with this. That's why I got my hey. Let's see. Don't forget, Oklahoma is coming to the SEC and he leaves for a place with rundown everything. LA is an Instagram city. It really is. Like everything is a lot better than it actually is. That is Los Angeles in a nutshell, right? It's an Instagram city full of Instagram models, full of a bunch of people trying to make it in acting and movies and stand up, and it's amazing. Like the friends I've made when I was doing comedy in LA, you can't have a conversation with them without them talking about the famous person that they've met or that they shot one commercial with. You know, is I don't know. I don't think I could ever live in LA. LA is beautiful. It's wonderful. I totally take that back. I would move to LA in a heartbeat because my week in Los Angeles was by far my funnest week I've ever had in my life. So I covered the Rose Bowl, got to do some comedy clubs, and it was just great. Right. So I take that back. LA or Norman, Oklahoma. If you have money, if you have a way to live, if you have a car, LA, definitely all day. But there is so much fakeness that comes along with Los Angeles that is just astonishing to me, right? It's where all the Instagram models go. So I could see why you would leave Norman for LA. I could live in Pasadena for sure. My good buddy Aaron Torres is there. Um, I could definitely do that. But a lot of my comedy buddies went out there. It's interesting. Exactly. This is how I feel. Tell me this. Alex with the Suns avatar. I like it. So it's all just job security. I'll tell you this. There's definitely more job security at USC as there is at LSU. They kept Clay freaking Helton, who was clearly not the guy. They kept him for probably 2 years too long, right? There's probably a lot of this too. USC is a safer landing spot, right? And look, DJ Uiagalelei, California. Bryce Young, California. Matt Corral, California. 3 of Lincoln Riley's top 50 commits for the class of 2023 all play for the same school in California. One's a 5-star quarterback. I don't blame him one bit. I don't. Haggy, welcome to the channel. Or hey, guy. I don't know if you can. I don't know. Mike Stoops could still be the guy. Mark Stoops. This is a quote from Jason Kersey, writer of The Athletic. Here's a quote from someone in the Oklahoma program. I kept waiting for Lincoln Riley to say, just kidding, but he never did. Okay, so I'll talk about this really quickly. Do I think Billy Napier is going to do good at Florida? I do. I think there's room for another big winner in the SEC East. Georgia's obviously going to keep trucking along. You know, South Carolina looked a lot better this year. But do I think Napier will reach a college football playoff at Florida? As of right now, I would probably lean towards saying no, but I do think he'll win 9 or 10 games there at some point. Good to see you. Is it really job security if you're getting paid that much money and don't win? That's true. The one good thing about being a head coach, though, is that if you don't win, they'll pay a lot of money for you to not be there anymore. Do you think Caleb Williams will join Lincoln Riley? Good question. I would lean towards saying yes at this point because he initially committed to Oklahoma to play for Lincoln Riley. But I just don't like, if I'm a quarterback, I'm never giving up snaps. I am never, ever, ever giving up snaps if I'm a quarterback. This is interesting. Napier will be good, not great. High floor, low ceiling. Okay. Andrew, come on. I don't know if you're trolling or not with that. I hope I am wrong. I hope I'll have to eat my words on that. But yes. Okay, new poll question is up. You still want Kellen Moore. Marcellus has wanted Kellen Moore for a while. Ooh. Let me get a stretch in. Tomcat, good to see you. Van, good to see you. Lincoln Riley's coming to be your next door neighbor, Van. My brother, Tomcat, it's been a while. Tomcat, a proud member of the PHL Shirt Club. Now tell me this. How is it that we have over 200 people in here, but our PHL Shirt Club has hit a snag? It has hit as a snag. I mean, what's up with that, man? You guys know you want the softest, most comfortablest shirt ever made. It's this one right here. Cliff is a member of the PHL Shirt Club. Jared's a member of the PHL Shirt Club. One name everyone is forgetting about for LSU. Okay? So let me answer this really quickly. One name everyone is forgetting about for LSU. Okay, so I'm going to give you some deep sleepers, as in some guys that no one is really thinking about for this LSU opening. Once again, I do think Matt Campbell's name needs to be seriously discussed more. I would like it. I would. Now, if you want a deep, deep, deep sleeper, okay, I do think, even though I'm not in love with this, Art Briles, huh? Oh boy, man. I was waiting on what you were going to say, Van. So Art Briles is obviously one of the, if not the brightest offensive mind that we've seen ever on a sideline. I know you can consider Mike Leach and the air raid. So, yeah. If Art Briles was hired as the head coach of LSU, there is no such thing as morality in sports, right? But Art Briles would win big. I couldn't imagine Kayshon Boutte and Art Briles' offense. That would be filthy. Filthy. But yes, I don't think LSU or anyone really is going to touch Art Briles, but knowing how things ended at Baylor. But since LSU is so connected with Baylor, with Kim Mulkey and Dave Aranda, and Dave Aranda's staff is basically all former LSU guys. Eric Mateos on the offensive line, Meatball Johnson on the defensive line, Jeff Grimes as the offensive coordinator, Vic Valoria as their strength coach. It would be pretty wild. How much longer are you going to be on? I got to take the garbage out. Jared, I don't know if this is a saying or not. If you're calling my show garbage, is that what you're doing, Jared? Is that what you're doing? Simper, I was waiting on you. Listen, guys, I thought it was Napier. I read the wrong side. Now I'm going to back. You heard her. Saban. Terry Saban. Bobby Petrino. He would kill it with Kayshawn and those guys. But you know what's interesting about Bobby Petrino? The guys in his offense at Arkansas never really did anything in the NFL. So I let you know, like they had DJ Williams. Really, none of them turned out to be that great in the NFL. That lets you know how freaking good Bobby Petrino's offense was, right? I'm not saying those guys weren't talented players, but once again, Petrino is very much like our guy Dan Mullen in that socially, some things don't click. They're very aloof, weird, kind of D-bags to a certain degree. It's just their personality. It's just their nature. I hate to use that term because I don't think either one of them are like evil people. They're just not the most pleasant. But a lot of bright minds aren't the most pleasant people to be around. Complex is the only person who is a Bill O'Brien stan. How many of you are? You have to take the entire garage out, Jared? Oh man, dude, you've got some work to do, man. I'm down for the Gus bus. I don't understand why Gus Malzahn was ever considered a bad coach at Auburn. I never quite understood that. Who was a head coach at Newman? So make him head coach so we can get Arch? Huh? Hugh Freeze. They've had a lot of weird losses this year, though. Let's see. Petrino would be awesome. Knows how to ride a bike with a sweet side piece. Let's do this. Let's see. Paris hasn't said anything this entire chat. And Paris is the sweetest soul on this channel. She says, hate is a very strong word, but I-H-A-T-E, Bill O'Brien. Hate. Paris, hate is a strong word. It's a strong word. It's a strong word. O'Brien has overcome sanctions, true. Recruited well, true. Coached under Saban, true. Had success at the next level. So, how would you explain the Auburn game from this past weekend, right? But look, no, you're right. He's done a decent job overall calling the plays at Alabama. I know a lot of Alabama fans want Bill O'Brien out. Someone brought up Mike Tomlin again. Once again, it'd be really cool. It'd be awesome. But there's no better job in professional sports than being the Steelers head coach. None. They've had 3 head coaches their entire franchise history. Three, three, three. I'm not saying Tomlin is this unreal talent, but he's a Hall of Famer more than likely. Why would he ever leave that job? Why? Do you think OU or USC is a better job? Was this a lateral move, or do you think Lincoln moved up? So, look, OU is a really good job. Um, I just think Lincoln Riley fears the SEC more than we initially thought. And I also think Lincoln Riley fears the recruiting landscape of Oklahoma um, a little bit more than people thought, right? Going into the SEC. So I do think USC is a better job. I do. Not by much, though. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done. I still think Oklahoma, it isn't DEFCON 1 that they're joining the SEC, but I do think they're going to be in some trouble. I do. It's all good. I haven't talked much about Chris Peterson, and I'd be happy to do it. So Chris Peterson has reached the college football playoff, but hasn't won a national championship. Don't you think a competitive coach like Chris Peterson is someone that would be itching for the chance to get revenge on Nick Saban? I think so. I think Chris Peterson is not your typical legendary coach getting back into coaching type of thing. He would be coming back with an athletic director he likes a lot. He would be coming back into a situation that he's never gotten a chance to be in, the SEC. I think that would pique his interest. I also think Chris Peterson would be a guy that can get us back to 9-10 wins. We know he knows how to build a program. We know we also know he knows how to hire a great staff. Also, on top of that, I also think Chris Peterson, I know a lot of people say, well, he's coached mostly in the Northwest. How is he going to fit in the SEC? And I totally get people that would bring that up. But at the same time, great coaches figure things out. And Chris Peterson is certainly one of the best coaches. But this would be the thing. If it were Chris, we'd already know, right? We would already know Chris Peterson would be the coach. So we'll see. Yeah, Bryce Young had a good game overall because when they lost Jamison Williams, they lost their deep threat. And Auburn's defense is really good, and they're fired up to play in a rivalry game. And Peterson is an interesting personality, but all coaches are. You have to be somewhat insane to do this profession, right? You get paid a lot of money, but a lot of coaches just aren't normal people, right? I would argue that most coaches aren't like someone you would consider normal, more so than just a normal 9 to 5 Joe Schmo, right? All coaches have different quirks. This job is going to make you go insane. When you're not actually coaching, you're texting teenagers trying to convince them to come to your school. It's a weird profession, right? I do think the profession like kind of drives people insane. Like Dave Aranda is like one of the few people you would consider normal. Bill O'Brien, kind of the same thing. As we've learned, especially now, that a lot of what went wrong with the Texans had to do with how the Texans run things. Yeah, we haven't talked a whole lot about last night's game. TDP got 1,000 yards this season. Congrats to Ty Davis Price. I'm proud of old TDP. Mm. Terry and Nick Saban, Sean Payton and Belichick are my top 3. This sounds saying some of these names. Yeah, I don't know how popular Sean Payton is, though, with LSU after the Ryan Nielsen thing. Derek Dooley? You want to know something interesting? Okay. Hear me out on this. So I was wrong about Brian Harsin. I didn't think that this would be a good experiment for Auburn. Obviously, Auburn's had a really good season. They beat LSU in Tiger Stadium, which is not an easy task. It's an easier task than normal, but they got it done. They also beat Arkansas in Fayetteville. They made 2 good coordinator hires I thought weren't going to be great. But I am not going to lie to you. Brian Harsin losing to Nick Saban the way that he lost the game this past weekend, it wasn't as insane as Derek Dooley's loss, but it felt very similar to how Derek Dooley lost to Les Miles. Okay? Jared is back from tearing down the garage. Eric, good to see you, man. Good question, Roby. I don't know the answer to this. I do think a player would be more willing to test the NFL when there's a head coaching change. Gotcha, Brian. No, I don't think Derek Dooley is going to be the coach. You were talking about that other commenter. No, I just felt that Brian Harsin loss felt a lot like Derek Dooley's loss. I think that's going to set him back, man. Typing slow because I know Carter doesn't read fast. Dang, Big Al. Really? Talking about my reading comprehension? Really? Huh? Dang, Big Al. I don't know. I don't know if I can have my treasurer talking about my reading comprehension like that. Harsin going to Washington after 1 year at Auburn? Really? Insane as a good thing or a bad thing? Captain Kenneth, you're on campus. You can tell me this. You're the one that should know. Huh? So I'll talk about Tom Herman really quickly, okay? Okay, so Tom Herman was going to be the LSU guy, decides to go to Texas. Jimbo Fisher decides to go to Texas A&M. Okay? So Lane trolling us with the license plate. Oh, we touched on that a little bit earlier. It's so great. The Zimas are right here. In fact, it's not Zimas. I drink about like 1 a night. I'm actually going bold. I'm going 2 tonight. So I do defend Tom Herman to a certain degree. He only got to coach one quarterback at Texas, right? I'll never judge a coach just based off of one quarterback, right? So that's what's really interesting about Jimbo Fisher is that he's only basically had one quarterback, and this year it's been his backup. So, I still think Jimbo's very flawed, but Tom Herman, he only had one quarterback. I would have given Tom Herman another year with the new quarterback and just to see what it would look like. But they went after Sark. Sark was the hottest assistant out there, and they decided to go that route, and it's been a disaster. Lane trolling us now with the license plate. Yeah, that was funny. Huh? I love old Lane. I'm still a Lane guy. Let's see. Share screen. Share screen. There we go. Lane Kiffin. I love this guy, man. What a troller. Can Will Wade coach football? Why does it seem like LSU football is always behind the 8 ball in the coaching search? I don't know. These coaching searches are never smooth, right? But there's also few. They're also few and far between, right? Holgo, no, won't spend too much time on that. Welcome, Ryan. Good to see you again, Ryan. Day or Harbaugh? Once again, we're at 247. We're back up. That's good to see you. I'm starting to get a bunch of comments coming in now. Okay, let's see. Day or Harbaugh? I don't think Ryan Day would ever leave Ohio State. Jim Harbaugh? No, that's his alma mater. He's finally winning there. He just beat Ohio State, so why would he leave now? Someone said if Scott Woodward got Nick Saban and come back, he would be considered Jesus. Mick says, I don't trust Scott. Not everybody wants the pressure of coaching in the SUS. Yeah, Harbaugh's never leaving. Roger, thank you so much for the very generous Venmo. I appreciate you, my guy. Love you too, man. We're getting through this together. Some of y'all really need to temper your expectations. Critical talk. I like the logo. Very simple. Why is everyone assuming LSU? Glenn, welcome to the channel. Very nice lamp in the background, man. So not only do you have a lamp in the background here, Glenn, you also have a very professional look going on. You got the blue button down, black undershirt, professional, got a nice office chair. But the most impressive thing about Glenn's photo here is the Blue Yeti microphone. I miss my Blue Yeti. I really do. My laptop's so old that I can't power it with my Yeti microphone anymore. So it's over there. So I had to make a new setup, get a new mic. So Glenn, welcome. I really don't know for sure.
I should stay at the Haywood.
Thank you so much.
The Haywood is the new hotel downtown. It is beautiful. It's
Next head coach is Ed Orgeron. Yeah, Glenn, I don't assume anything. Do I think that there was discussions with Lane Kiffin? With Lincoln Riley? Yeah, I do. But once again, we'll never really know for sure, right? Media is like the fight scene from Anchorman. Everybody trying to be the first to report. Yeah, I had someone ask me about that last night. Okay, so a student reporter reported the Lincoln Riley news. Okay, and he wasn't the only one. There was someone else that did it. Once again, they've gone through enough humiliation at this point. I've always said this. I've gotten some information from sources that turned out to be true, but I've decided not to report it. Okay. So for those that don't know, I used to be in the media circle. I used to go to all the press conferences and sit in the press box, all that stuff. And it was fun, right? And you develop sources and all that stuff, and it's fun. But I've never done like a breaking news story. I've shared scoops on here before, but not anything like there's not a huge benefit to being the first to report something unless you are the first to report a lot of things, right? So it's just not totally worth it, right? Dang, Brian. Did someone not season your turkey for Thanksgiving? God, this is just sour. All of this sucks. The coaching search is trash. Well, let's see who they hire first. And the Saints are sucking. Well, I mean, it's a year after Drew Brees and our starter got hurt. And by the way, a true Saints fan that's also an LSU fan would have already adopted their team to the Orange Bees, Brian. And I'm not talking about the Browns, even though the Browns do have a lot of LSU players. You should have already gone on over. Let's see. You know what's funny? We haven't done a booger ban. Boom. Right here. That should be your team. Let's see what we got here. I thought the Cowboys lost. By the way, we still have, these are legit the last booger bands. I got to order more. 1 for 10, 2 for 15, 3 for 20. I will send you a rookie LSU Joe Burrow card with your order. 1 for 10, 2 for 15, 3 for 20. We haven't done a booger band thing in quite some time. You get to wear what yours truly gets to wear, what Cliff gets to wear, what Jared gets to wear. A lot of you have bought booger bands that have helped out and support. Another way you could support the channel. Once again, no one has joined the PHL T-shirt club. I don't quite get it. I think you guys are just opposed to me. But Jared, Trey, and Robert, Cliff, Ulysses, all a part of the PHL Booger Band Club and T-shirt club. Nothing would excite me more than a T-shirt order happening right now. Any Skylar Green cards left? I gave one away. I think I still do have another one out. I might give my other autographed Skylar Green card away. Rubbing. I will not give a shout out to Will Wade because this is an LSU football channel. No LSU basketball. Kidding. Shout out to General Wade going 7-0. Really cool stuff. And winning whatever tournament they were in. Really cool stuff. Darius Days is kind of working himself into the draft, right? Potentially G League in it. Congrats to Darius Days. Waiting on the new merch. I like it. We need to make some new merch. Chase, welcome to the channel. Chase, I think this is your first time. I also like, Chase, the fact that you wear – Brian, I think this is your first time as well. Chase does the same thing I do with the hats. This is always the most comfortable way to wear a hat. Like, you can't even see the design on it, but if you wear it like this, it's really cozy, man. I love it. Jared's waiting on new merch. Jared wants some koozie. Greg, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you, big dog. Thank you so much. Chase, you've been a fan for a minute. Malachi Nelson just decommitted that quick? Really, Malachi? Could you not give Oklahoma fans 24 hours to let it sink in? I love it. Are you talking about my hairline or are you talking about Chase's hairline? Oh, Kirby, the Emerald Coast Championship. Let me get that straight. I can't mess up the Emerald Coast Championship. Oh, Greg is being a part of the Booger Band Club. Well, there you go, Greg. Shoot me an email, powerhourlsu@gmail.com, or you can send me a message on Twitter or whatever, and I will get those cards mailed out to you. My Twitter and Instagram is both at Carter the Power, just like how it's spelled. So shoot me a message and I'll get the address, and we'll get your card and your bands out there. Congrats, Greg. You're part of the club, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Even though like the cost of shipping is cut into my profits for the Booger Band Club. And YouTube, let me see, on a super chat. So YouTube, the reason why the Venmos and the Cash Apps are better is because, I get 100% of that. Where the super chats, while they are also helpful, and I appreciate YouTube for giving me this platform, YouTube does take a chunk of the super chat. So yeah, but I take it any way possible. So Greg, shoot me a message with any of those services, and I will get your address. And thank you for joining the Booger Band Club, Greg. I know you feel great, and you can give one to your lovely significant other. And next year when you're going to an LSU game, you get the rocket. Roger, I think, is still in the chat right now. Cliff is still in the chat. They wear their Booger Bands to the actual game, and they get stopped by Keishon Butte, and they said, Keishon will point at him and say, oh my God, y'all are part of the Booger Band Club. We need to give some Booger Bands to Keishon. We really got Hermaned again. Very well could have happened. Hey, Mr. Carter. So I had something really frustrating happen to me this week, guys. Roger says that is a 100% factual story. So Greg, no! Greg, then what is she wearing with this? What is she wearing at the game? Is that an LSU shirt? She's a Bama fan? So here's the funny thing is that the Boog Band doesn't say anything LSU on it, right? It's in honor of our dear beloved Boog the dog. So, Greg, you weren't here when Boog was around. We used to have a little dog named Boog. We now have Z. We love Z, but Boog was the biggest star on the channel, and Boog developed a fan base. She tragically passed away earlier this year. So these bands are made in honor of Boog the dog. A lot of our day one PHLers still hit me up and ask about how I'm doing after the loss of Boog. And it was a tragic time. I cried a bunch. We all cried a bunch, but Z is doing great. So, Greg, congratulations. So your girlfriend should, or your significant other should wear. Oh, you were around with Boog. So there you go, Greg. So there you go. So you get to be a part of Boog's legacy. That's the greatest thing about these bands. Just realized LSU can't hire a quality coach. Haven't had a real good coach since Nick Saban. This is not good. But that's the funny thing, is that a good coach doesn't necessarily coincide with wins, right? If we were coinciding coaching talent with wins, Bill Snyder would have won a national championship, right? Jared said he's broke after this one. Jared, I will only accept your super chats now in Ethereum. Kidding. No, thank you so much, Jared. I deeply appreciate it. I can't wait to go to Alabama and meet all of our Mobile, Alabama PHLers. Okay. So we're 2 hours and 15 minutes into this. Greg and everyone, I need everybody to let me know where you are watching from. So there you go. Greg, I should have remembered you were around with Boog. I don't know. It's 2 hours in. I didn't sleep at all last night. I really didn't. I stayed up until 5, woke up at 9, started doing a film study, and I couldn't really do the film study because, I'm just thinking about this coaching thing, like every single one of you. Hey, my girlfriend is an Arkansas fan. Now she has slowly converted to an LSU fan. Albany, New York, 337. We got the 504 in here. Chase in Miami. Your next door neighbor's about to be Lane Kiffin. Got Houston, Texas in here. Montgomery, Alabama. Southwest Florida. Oh, man. Montgomery. How far is that from Mobile? Reserve, Louisiana. Home, Pennsylvania. Roby's in Mobile as well. Love it, man. Really do. Pasadena, Texas, south of I-10. Las Vegas, Timothy, I'm going to be in Vegas in a few weeks. 2 hours? Why? I guess we got to do a meetup in Montgomery and Mobile. We're definitely going to do one in Mobile since we have so many fans in Mobile of the channel. John, Austin, Texas. Houma, Louisiana. Home of Mason Smith. You'll pull up? Dude, I would love to do a meetup in Mobile. I just like Mobile a lot. Not just because we have a lot of heroes there. I've just always enjoyed it. Oh, God. Cliff always likes to start a fist fight in the chat with this. The 225 is better than the 337. Mount Holly's in the building. Rod, welcome to the channel. Is this your first time chatting? If so, welcome. I love really professional headshots. I do. I much rather like seeing your face instead of a letter. Once again, let me pull up Greg's comment again. This is my favorite picture, right? Smiling big, Tiger Stadium in the background, wearing LSU gear. That's the best type of photo, okay? The best type of photo is with all that in the background, okay? I also like the golden boot photo, even though we don't retain the golden boot. Your opinion, who's the next coach, please? Let me ask you this, Chris. Who do you think the next coach will be, and I'll give you who I think the next coach will be. Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Don, your super chat made me so excited the other day. I love hearing from viewers outside of the country. We have viewers, once again, Yusha from Ukraine. Gotta love Yusha, man. I love it. I hate that a lot of our viewers in Europe, can't stay up. We have some viewers in Turkey. So you gotta love it, man. Me and Mason went to school together since elementary. He was 6 foot in 5th grade. Dear Lord. So Chris, you want Mark Stoops, or you think that's who the next coach will be, right? Stoops has been heavily rumored to LSU. Here's something I'll say about the Mark Stoops rumor, okay? The reason why the Mark Stoops rumor is very interesting is it's different when Baton Rouge media reports that a coach is interested in a job. It's even more interesting when media from that coach's region reports interest into your job. So Kentucky Sports Radio, they're huge, right? They're essentially the 104.5 of Lexington. They reported Mark Stoops' interest with LSU. And it's different when the actual local media of the team actually reports that the football coach is being inquired about for a certain opening. So there you go. So it's interesting. Aranda Herman. I like Tom Herman. The 225 better than all the others. So can I you want a Carter t-shirt? Here you go, Carrie. I'm pulling it up for you right now. Boom. Boom. Right there. Look. You get this shirt. It's got my name on it. You let people know about the brand. Now, thank you, Chris. I hope to see you around more often, man. It's very key you keep watching my videos, because if you don't watch my videos, I go hungry. And if I don't eat, I die. So, the 334. Let me Google where the 334 is. All right. Oh, Greg, now that I think about it, you do live in Montgomery, Alabama. So, yeah, I guess. Have any bumper stickers? So, Roby, over the holidays and during this off season, when things kind of cool down, I am going to look into different merch companies. Okay. How many beers have I drunk tonight? This is number 2. I normally don't drink more than 2. It's ironic. The main reason I drink is because this koozie makes me very happy. It just does. Let's talk about this really quickly, okay? Any big-time recruit still in the playoffs? Okay, so Walker Howard did get injured yesterday, and that does suck. I don't know how serious it was, but he just had a rough season with injuries. It is what it is. But yeah, that's obviously something you don't want to hear, right? But yeah. Yeah, the Willie Taggart thing. I am shocked. I thought for sure he was going to just dominate at Florida State. It just seemed like a perfect fit. But no. No. Oh, man. 318 gets no love. You know what's funny, Ant? North Louisiana just, I don't know why. North Louisiana just doesn't give any love. So here's one of my sports media OGs right here. I'm on his show pretty frequently. Go check it out. Locked on SEC, my guy, Chris Gordy. I love it. So, Gordy, good to hear from you. Let me ask Gordy this question. So, Gordy covers all the SEC. As far as Mark Stoops, that would be such an interesting thing. Where do you think Brennan will transfer? Miles Brennan. You know what I would do if I was Miles Brennan? I would transfer to North Carolina, run the Phil Longo offense, put up a bunch of stats against bad ACC defenses, and then go to the draft. Especially if you get an extra year with your red shirt. If he's able to get a medical red shirt to get another year of eligibility. I still think Miles Brennan should get out of the SEC, go to just some non-power. Go to a Power 5 school and just put up big numbers and then get drafted. So I got to give Cliff this. So obviously Cliff is one of the closest PHLers to me. He is a family member, and he is also the president of PHL, right? So he and I are just totally on opposite ends, and we see ourselves on opposite ends. We love each other. We're family. We're all family here in a certain way, but we're actually blood relatives, right? So Cliff says, fantastic recruiter, Mark Stoops. I agree with that. If you actually go look at the history of Mark Stoops, what he did to get the recruiting started at Kentucky was very interesting. He dove deep into Ohio and just really knows how to build a team and a program. Amazing developer of talent. That's also true. All Stoops has to do is hire a great OC. I love it. I hope so. I'll say this. I'm not on fire about Mark Stoops. I would back him, and the good thing you're going to get from Mark Stoops is stability, I think. And is ready to fist fight about North Louisiana, and I love it. So, can I say something really quick? It's really cool when I get to go on 104.5. Absolutely love 104.5. Jeremy Hill was in here earlier. Mario's been in our chats before as well. Musso, Moscona, T-Bob, Jacob, Jimmy, I'd give me my first start interning for him. I will say this. 104.5 is absolutely phenomenal. They're programming all their shows. I think it's pretty good. I don't get to watch all that much because I am doing my own thing. So it could just be biased because I know a lot of the people there. But, when I go on their shows, when I've been on the show, they're great interviewers, all that good stuff. I will say, and he's going to hate that I'm bringing his name up because ironically, he hates attention even though he's a radio host. Sports Talk 977 with Sean Fox is such an underrated show. I've been going on Sean's show for, 7 years now, maybe. It's been a long time. Fox is so underrated. And he just is. Sean Fox is so freaking good at radio. He's so freaking good. He just gets how to put on a really good radio show. So yeah, North Louisiana's got some really talented people, right? And he's one of them. I'm just shouting out my guy Fox. He's a beast. No, nothing's wrong with Scona. Nothing. Oh, you're talking to Simper. All right, Greg, shoot me your address. I think you wants to send me a message. Okay, good. I think this is you. Let's see. Greg, was this you? Let's see. Greg, if you email me or shot in Instagram, I can't really see. I'm so bad at Instagram. No, this is somebody else, I believe. Let me see. Oh, that's where you first heard me? Okay, cool stuff. Well, I'm glad Sean is getting his love. He's just great. And I'm not just saying that just to say it. He's just great. He's just really good at doing the radio thing. The professor, Santoria, all of them, they're just really good. Ramblin's very lucky to have such a great radio staff. There you go. Yes. I love it. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, I think I just requested the follow back. That's cool. I'm really excited, man. Glad I'm finally get to send some more booger bands out. Rick's is going to USC. I can see it. I don't know why he wouldn't go back home. Mm. DC. What it do? So let me talk about this really quickly. We got D-Bach from the 504 in here. Can't believe QB play was so bad the last 2 seasons. Really? No. Okay. So Miles Brennan was supposed to be the quarterback. He was pretty good in his first 2 starts. Our first 3 starts. Mississippi State start wasn't that great. His QBR was lower than 50, but that was his first ever start. He missed a lot of throws. Second 2 starts versus Vanderbilt and Missouri was really good. It helped out that he had Terrace Marshall and Eric Gilbert fully healthy and locked in. I still do think quarterback is a big issue for LSU moving forward. But at the same time, I still think the defense not moving to what we're doing now quicker, and I'm saying this even in 2020, it will still be the biggest mystery to me. But still, you asked about quarterback play, and D-Bach, I think you're a new viewer, so I'll spend a little time on the quarterback play. Max Johnson misses a lot of throws. There's just no other way around it. He doesn't like to pull the trigger on out-breaking routes for whatever reason. I think he's it's fear sometimes because you always just fear as a quarterback that on an out-breaking route that someone's just going to pick it off and house it. So, yeah, I understand, right? But at the same time, I think we kind of take for granted great quarterback play since we had it 2 years with Joe Burrow and really 1 year of exceptional quarterback play. And then to the second part of this is at LSU, let me ask you this question, D-Bach. Have we had, since the modern era, so since 2000, have we had more years of bad quarterback play or more years of good quarterback play? Let me ask you that question. I'll ask that question to you guys, okay? And while you answer that, let me take a look at the poll here. Let's see. Thank you for the shout out. I appreciate the shout out on Twitter. Petty Murphy 318. So Fox is going to hate it. Fox hates it. It's weird because in order to have a successful radio show, you have to have attention. But you know how Fox is. He's a really humble, not look at me kind of guy. It's just not his thing. But yeah, he's going to get a kick out of that. What sucks is the only time I've ever gotten to see Fox is in like a media setting, and we've never really gotten a chance to like hang, right? I would really like to hang out with them and just drown our sorrows. But the answer is we've had more years of probably down the middle, right? We probably have had half of our years with good quarterback play and half of our years with bad quarterback play. Okay. So, who is the most important player on your team? It is your quarterback. Okay. So, if your quarterback is your most important player on the team, okay, we need to make sure that quarterback is good every single year, right? So, on a very simple level, that's why I wanted Lincoln Riley to be the next head coach, because he will guarantee that you have pretty good quarterback play every year, right? Oh, thank you. Greg, you didn't have to send the extra. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. So, because of that, Greg, I'm going to send you some really cool stuff. Thank you for the extra little donation there. And you are now a part of the Booger Band Club. Thank you so much, Greg. I appreciate it. And I can't wait to meet you and meet all of our Alabama Tigers. We have so many. Fox is just the best. He puts other people first. Never a look at me kind of guy. He's one of the rare media people that just has zero ego, right? He's just great. And, once again, I know we talk about Ryan Perrilloux a lot, but he is the biggest what if in LSU history, right? Still the best high school quarterback probably ever in Louisiana. And I don't know if he's ever going to get topped. It'll be really hard for someone to be better than what he was in high school. And he was a god. He really was. It was ahead of his time. He was mind-blowing. His high school statistics, we did a deep dive on it this offseason, still destroys every other quarterback that's ever come to LSU. Even Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow's high school stats were freaking insane. Miles Brennan's high school stats were freaking insane. But Ryan Perrilloux is still unreal. It was his senior year was like 37 passing TDs, 33 rushing TDs. But still, we're not talking about Ryan. I just think the key moving forward is making sure we get good quarterback play. And the one thing about Mark Stoops is, yes, he builds a good program, but when has Mark Stoops ever had a great quarterback, right? And the answer to that is, never. Russell Shepard was amazing. I still would have liked to have seen him play some quarterback, but Russell was an interesting guy. Kind of knew him in college. I love what he's done, though, with his life. Worked his tail off in the NFL to be a special teamer, and he got into the most recession-proof business you could think of. He is a porta potty and waste management contractor. So he leases out porta potties, which is the most genius thing to invest in. When are we never not going to need porta potties? And by the way, think about it this way, right? If you were to meet, let's just think of your most famous, friendly athlete, like the one athlete you want to meet more than anyone else. Okay. You are going to be very excited to meet that athlete. I'm telling you, you would be ecstatic to meet that athlete or celebrity or whoever it be. But I guarantee you, if you ever have been tailgating and you absolutely positively need to take a leak, there is nothing in the world you're going to love more than that clutch porta potty, right? You'll love a porta potty as much as anything else on this planet when you really need it. I like this. Bro, meeting Bregman was the best thing that ever happened to me. PLG, one of our younger viewers, I like it. Move Jack Besh to QB. Why not? He'll throw the ball to himself. Lynn Bowden is a great QB at Kentucky. That is true. But let's be honest, that was a gadget quarterback. He was a beast, though. Lynn Bowden is by far his best player ever. No, Josh Allen, but still. Cool question here from Jeffrey. What is Kiffin's top accomplishment? Does he have a conference title, a CFP appearance, a coach of the year in his conference? What? Well, you just saw it. He won 10. He went 10-2 for the first time ever at Ole Miss. They've never gone 10-2 in the regular season. And at the same time, I will say this, Jeffrey, it was a very lucky 10-2. They were very fortunate to be Arkansas. But still, 10-2 is 10-2, right? You know, I'm skeptical of Billy Napier having only one loss this year. He's scraped by a lot of wins, but sometimes that's how you got to do it, right? Also, Jeffrey, my second question to you would be, well, which candidate out there has accomplished something? Let's go through it. How many candidates out there has a conference title? Well, Dave Aranda doesn't. Bill O'Brien doesn't. Mark Stoops doesn't. Matt Campbell doesn't. The list goes on and on. Okay. How many candidates out there have a CFP appearance? All those names I just listed, none of them do. In fact, most coaches don't have college football playoff appearances. The same coaches make the playoff every year, right? So let's just say the playoff this year is Kirby Smart. He's guaranteed a spot. Nick Saban, if he wins, he's been there before. Brian Kelly, if he gets in, he's been there a lot. So the same coaches and the same programs go every year. So it's hard to get a coach that's been to the playoff. A coach of the year in this conference, what is that? I mean, that's a very subjective thing. Honestly, Lane Kiffin's got a good shot of winning it this year. I would guess Sam Pittman would get it, or Kirby. I think Kirby's got a good shot of getting it this year. So I think, I just think I'd say it's tough. It's tough to get a candidate that's really accomplished something, because that candidate more than likely is going to stay there, right? Yeah, Andre Woodson was not Mark Stoops. And did you see Phil Longo's offense this year? It can get a little weird once teams start to figure it out. It's a little too gadgety. I think Jamie Chadwell's offense has kind of gotten the same criticism. I like Longo's offense. In fact, I really hammered hard for him to be the OC. But I'm telling you, his game plan versus Virginia Tech, it was the first game of the year, but that was just so bad. So bad. All right, guys, I'm starting to wear down. I did not sleep well at all last night. Special thanks to all our top super chatters. Our number one super chatter. Let's see. Greg is up there tonight. I think Trey was our top super chatter. As always, thanks to Jared. Thanks to Cliff. Greg also joined the Booger Band Club. So a round of applause for Greg. He also is one of the now Alabama PHL presidents. We got to get a big Bama PHL meetup going. I love it, man. PLG, that's crazy. So for those that don't know, at the end of the chat, if you super chat, we'll keep it going. If you super chat, we'll just keep this party moving. If not, we're going to wrap it up, and you guys can ask me a few questions that don't involve LSU football. Should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame? Sure. Why not put it in? It's a vanity award anyway. Amp Hill? Let's see. Lavelle Hawkins, don't know a whole lot about him. Graham Harrell as the offensive coordinator. I don't know too much about his offense. I really don't. So sure. Barry Bonds, Hall of Fame. Here's my thing. I saw a viral ballot where someone put steroid users on the Hall of Fame, but they didn't put Barry Bonds on the Hall of Fame. If you put one steroid user on the Hall of Fame, I think you got to put them all on there, right? Can you put this on the screen for me? I just want to be on the screen for 2 seconds. Did you see Eternals? No, I have not. Is that the new Marvel movie with no, I haven't seen it. Let's go. Chet or Paolo for the Pels? I hadn't watched enough of Paolo Banchero, or I don't know how to say his last name, or Chet. We'll see how the season plays out. Tiger basketball has gone undefeated. Heck yeah. I love a good party. What type of party? No limit or cash money? Cash money. Thoughts on the Pelicans? I was able to go to a game earlier this year. It was a lot of fun. Obviously, the biggest question is what the heck is going on with Zion. Outside of that, this is a harsh reality of the NBA. I have a lot of thoughts on the NBA. I don't think it's run well. I don't think the league is properly formatted. I would do a lot of reform to the NBA to make the league a lot better. And I think the Pelicans, all that aside, I mean, they're just not good. The NBA is a harsh reality. It comes down to 1, 2, and 3. I know there's 5 guys on the court, but you got to have a strong 1 and you got to have a stronger 2, right? So if you don't have a Giannis, if you don't have a KD, if you don't have a Steph, you have no chance. So the Pelicans do have Zion, who is probably in that top 10 tier, but he's not there. And Brandon Ingram is probably one of the weaker 2s in the Western Conference. So let's go through all the 2s in the Western Conference. So the Suns' number 2 is Chris Paul or Devin Booker, either one. Way better than Brandon Ingram. Anthony Davis. I hate Anthony Davis more than anyone else. Way better than Brandon Ingram. Let's go to the Jazz. Rudy Gobert. Way better than Brandon Ingram. Go through the whole list of 2s in the NBA. A lot of them were way better than Brandon Ingram. And he was supposed to be, he now has to be our number 1, and now Ingram's been injured. It's just that simple, right? If you don't have the 1 and the 2, you're just not going to win, okay? And especially with a first-year head coach who's under a lot of pressure to succeed, I don't know what's going on. Okay, I do remember Xavier Carter. He was simply incredible. F1, I don't watch, but I am a sports card collector. And it's interesting. The most popular sports cards that are coming out are F1, believe it or not, out of the new sports that are out there. Okay. Gonna put this up and pull this up. All right. So if you guys can, please go subscribe to this YouTube channel. Let me can't stand LeBron. Yeah, the punching thing was kind of weird. I'm fine with LeBron. Not my favorite NBA player, but I love the way he plays, man. Moves a basketball like no one else's business. Will Campbell posted on Stamp a Story 25 minutes ago, 2 alligator emojis. What? Britt, stop. Don't troll me right now. I will fight you. The Master Blaster. So, Tony, if you super chat, we'll hang out for a little bit longer. I know Tony likes to super chat here at the end. I just realized that you was on the live chats a minute ago. Who's your favorite coach for head coach now? Let's see. I still think right now Dave Aranda's going to be the guy. Every player in the NBA is great. Just listen to Chuck and Shaq. Love to see you shoot a free throw. Cool. Chewy, thanks for once again, Chewy. It is amazing. Every time you comment, you just manage to say absolutely nothing. It is really incredible. Thanks for informing everyone in the chat that everybody in the NBA is great. There you go. Good stuff. Picked up a Kyle Pitts rookie card this week. A Florida Gator and the Atlanta Falcons? Really, Roby? I love it, Roby. So Roby is actually listening to our new football card collecting podcast. Look out for Hayes Moncluffe for STM. He is the next Jack Bash. Semper, don't call anybody the next Jack Bash. Jack is already one of an LSU icon, really, with how well he's been in as a freshman. Now, he's not one of the best of all time, but if you put up his true freshman stats against a lot of others, I mean, how many true freshman wide receivers were better? I mean, Odell was better. Kayshawn was better. A lot of that was the Ole Miss game there at the end. So, yeah, and Jamar had a really strong close to his true freshman season. Yeah, Chewy comments, everybody in the NBA is good. Listen to Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal. When Charles Barkley criticizes more NBA players than anyone. Yeah, every single NBA player is really good. I agree with that, Chewy. Okay, I'm not saying that Brandon Ingram is a bad player, but I don't think it's far-fetched to say that Brandon Ingram is not as good as Chris Paul, or Brandon Ingram is not as good as Anthony Davis, or Brandon Ingram is not as good as Draymond Green or Klay Thompson whenever he gets healthy. Yeah, our next chat will be Tuesday night. I know it's weird. We normally don't do a Sunday chat, but of course, head coach, all that good stuff. I could see that. Kayshawn had 3 good games, and they were all at the end when Terrace wasn't a part of the game or part of the team. Whatever happened to the ball kid who committed to LSU? I don't know. Landon Jackson? I think Landon Jackson's bald. He was overcoming injury. I don't know where he is now. I haven't seen him on the sideline or really anything. Love Shaq and Barkley. Jordan is the GOAT. Well, it depends. Obviously, a lot of the era comes down. My dad was a huge Michael Jordan fan, a huge Michael Jordan collector. I like Jordan too. I'll probably always like Jordan a little bit more than LeBron, but LeBron is a better overall player on both ends of the floor. He's definitely the better passer. The points he's added with points and assists is just so much higher than every other NBA player. And yeah, he's wild. Let's see. They need to trade Fox from Sacramento. Need a point guard. Bad. Sacramento has like 6 of them. Yeah, I like De'Aaron Fox a lot. I really do. But the hardest thing about the West is you could be an all-time great guard and just never even make the playoffs, right? Like, we haven't even talked about Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is insane. Insane. He used to barely make the All-Star team, right? So, the Master Blaster Super Chats. So the party continues, baby. So before we get back into some Lincoln Riley chatter, I agree with this, but if you are old enough, if you remember the late 90s, early 2000s, those Kings Lakers series were the best freaking NBA series. I promise you. Okay. And we really needed those series because, a few years before we had the Jordan and Jazz series, we really needed a new series. And really it was those Kings Lakers series were so freaking good. Lincoln Riley didn't want the SEC smoke. I see chicken running from the West Coast. Yeah. Let's all do it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. The Master Blaster. One more time. The Master Blaster. Lincoln Riley didn't want the SEC smoke. Here's the thing, and Tony, I know you're new, and we've talked about this briefly, but I'll go a little bit further on this. Okay, the Lakers in Portland was also a really good series, right? The Shaquille O'Neal dunk from Kobe, that alley-oop, man, I get chills thinking about it, especially considering Shaq was in Tiger Stadium. Rick Fox versus Doug Christie. Remember that? It was Doug Christie, Jason Williams, Peja Stojakovic. Shout out to my New Orleans Hornets fans, Chris Webber, Vlade Divac. Who remembers Brad Miller on those Kings teams? And those Lakers teams were Shaq, Kobe, Fisher, Robert Horry, Rick Fox. It's funny. I can remember more Kings players than the Lakers players. I freaking love. Oh, you know who else the Kings had? And this might have been post Mike Bibby and Bobby Jackson. So I think Jason Williams was kind of after that. No, I don't think Jason Williams was a part of those series. I think it was a little bit after that. But Bobby Jackson, but Bobby Jackson could flat out freaking play. All right. We got a Gator fan in here. Freshie, I saw you in here I saw you in here. I saw you comment on one of my posts. I can't talk. I'm 3 hours into this. I'm not going to lie. This is the most Florida photo of all time. Okay. Barbed wire tattoo, rolled up sleeves, backwards hat, O'Neal shirt, and it looks like you're fist fighting a shelf. So you're bringing a bunch of Gator vibes in here, Freshie, and I love it. Kidding, it's all fun and games. Hito Turkaloo. I love it. So yeah, and by the way, Freshie, I know I just roasted you. It's all fun though. That's why I like Florida, man. I freaking love LSU Florida. I freaking do. Even though they shouldn't play every year because of the stupid cross-division rival rule, I just love it. I just think LSU's true rival is Florida. I really do think so. Just because the vitriol is so freaking deep. Deep. Corliss Williamson for you Arkansas Razorback fans. So, Lincoln, as far as this is concerned, Tony, is it soft or just good business? Easier path to the playoff? Truth. Own the West Coast? Truth. Who's the program on the West Coast you have to worry about? Oregon. That's it. Number 3. Most of Lincoln Riley's commits and a lot of the great quarterbacks are coming out of California now. His 2023 class features 3 players in the top 50 from California. He's already had them committed. Now, do you think those kids would rather play in Norman or in Los Angeles? It's funny. I talk about basketball 3 hours in just for a second. Is this a basketball stream or CFB? So, Tony, this is where we disagree. Okay. And Tony, I love you. I think Lincoln Riley's offense would have done wonders in the SEC. His numbers versus he been really good outside of when he faced Dave Aranda. So in 2020, he put up the highest yards per play versus Florida that they gave up all year. Okay. When he lost to Alabama in the playoff, that was the second most yards per play Alabama gave up all year. When he lost in the playoff to Georgia, that was the second most yards per play they gave up all year. They beat a really good Auburn team the year before that. That was the most yards per play Auburn gave up all year. So it's a soft move, but it's a smart move. The most important thing in college football is to make sure you avoid losses, and that's very key. I think Freshie got mad at me. Oh, man, Freshie. I'm sorry. Gator bait. I love it. Huh? I would do this too, Roby. I would be shopping Ingram right now. They should be shopping a lot of guys. Carter Justin Vincent on 104.5 ESPN tonight said the deal is done and the announcement is coming in the next 2 days. So Justin Vincent probably is pretty high up the totem pole at LSU, and he would be someone who would know this. So I hope he's right. So I agree with this too, Tony, and you are right about this. I do. I don't know how Lincoln Riley would have handled because, he's had some bad offensive games this year and he was still able to win. Me too. I'd rather be UF than Bama or Auburn. Actually, I hope I didn't hurt your feelings. I'm not one of those guys that roast someone and want them to feel bad about themselves. I'm just a kind heart like that. Outside of Chewy, I'm kidding. Man. Outside of Joby, Roby. No, outside of Jared. Jared's the only comments that I can't stand. That's the week 12. So what caused the LSU versus Florida hatred anyway? I think it kind of started with Kev Falk, right? A lot of Florida fans were just so shocked when Kev Falk beat them in the late 90s. But I think it really started I don't know. I just think it just kind of built up. Obviously, the way the hurricane thing was handled a few years ago wasn't handled the best. I don't know exactly why. It could just be that the game ended so exotically at the end of so many of the LSU Florida matchups. Lori, welcome to the channel. LOL, y'all didn't get Riley, did you? LOL. So this is how you know this was a weak troll attempt, because you had to put 2 LOLs in there to sell it. Like, LOL, y'all didn't get Riley, did you? LOL. Come on, Lori. If you're going to troll, you need to bring more heat than that. Freshie has got you beat in the troll game. Lori probably commented and was like, oh my God, I'm about to own all 131 of these LSU fans in here. LOL. I bet you didn't get Riley, did you? LOL. Ha ha ha. Yeah, got me. Jay Rambo. I love this photo. If you know internet meme culture, you know how funny that is. Joe Brady, no. Nah. This is a good comeback right here by Lori. Oh, man. I love it. No, I don't have anything against Chewy. Chewy, if you're still watching this, I don't have anything against you. But some of the it's not just like these last couple live streams. Okay. I'm talking about Brandon Ingram, and just out of nowhere, you say, did you know everybody in the NBA is good? Thanks. Huh? Oh man. It's like walking into like a food class and just like someone's teaching how to cook or whatever, and you walk into a class like, I bet you guys didn't know that pizza is good. That's what it sounds like. I bet you didn't know that everybody in the NBA is good at basketball. So, Lori, you're an OU fan. Okay. So you're going through it right now. So we'll drinks to you, Lori. You know what, Lori? I'm going to take 4 sips just for you. 3. I took 4 sips for every Justin Jefferson touchdown he scored in the first half of a playoff game against you. That was for you, Lori. For you. Just for you. LOL. Now, Lori, that's what happens when you bring your troll game on this channel. You better come with the heat. But I do agree with this. I do think Bob Stoops will come back and just be ready to go. I think Bob Stoops will come back, win the bowl game, and then just be like, okay. Matt Rule and Joe Brady. But really, how do you let one wide receiver score 4 touchdowns on you? 4. I could understand a running back because you could just hand the ball to the running back and he'd go in. I could understand a quarterback throwing for 4 touchdown passes. But one wide receiver, you would think that the corner would commit like a pass interference penalty, or you double cover the guy and make someone else beat you, or you bring 30 defensive backs on the field and you force them to run the football. But no, Alex Grinch said, look, we're just going to let Justin Jefferson continue to score. And I understand Justin Jefferson's one of the best wide receivers, it looks like, of all time. But still, 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns in one half. One half. There you go, Lori. Let it out. Let it out. Let it out. Riley was scared to play in the SEC as a punk and a coward. Oh, Jets versus OU, no doubt. Kayshawn's performance was more, he carried more weight in his performance, but no doubt. 4 touchdowns from a wide receiver in a playoff game. Man, you just can't. It's unreal. It's truly unreal. Matt Rule and Joe Brady. Bring them both back, and bring them both back. There you go, Addison. Congratulations to Ole Miss going to the Sugar Bowl. No, I'm dead serious. Congrats. Well, all right, guys. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Once again, we'll do the same thing. All right. I will go for a little bit longer. If you guys and gals send in a super chat, I'll keep going. Here we go. I was convinced it was Aranda, but after what Jay Hill said, and now Vincent's saying it'll be announced in 2 days, it has to be Stoops. Not sure how to feel about it. Yeah, I'm done trying to guess who it's going to be. Now, as far as Mark Stoops is concerned, once again, I know Cliff, president of PHL, is a huge Mark Stoops fan. It's just not for me. It's just not. It's not something I would be on fire about. I also don't think it's actually going to happen. I don't think it's actually going to be Mark Stoops, but we'll see. All right. Let's see. I don't think it's an absolute slam dunk that it's going to be Mark Stoops. Keep coming back, Lori. I'm not always this funny. Trust me. You guys never know what bombing on stage feels like. There's nothing like it. There's nothing quite like it. I have eaten. Oh, oh God, it's so bad. But I appreciate you, Lori. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Could be Kiffin if it's in 2 days. Let's go. Dan, that's funny. LOL, Lori, LOL. Lori, you need to change your name to LOL, Lori, LOL. Ha, 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 ha. That's great. That's great. Blake, I love your photo, man. It's kind of hard to see from here. I think that's Eli Ricks. I don't think that's Kayshawn. You're gonna feel worse when Kiffin leaves you back to the bottom of the toilet. Shedrick, I don't think it was as much a battle as it is just a coach deciding where he wants to go, right? But yeah, it does suck. Hitman and Pegasus, I think it's just the same thing, honestly. What some people call soft, another people calls it smart. It's actually the same thing. Two things could be true at once. So there we go. All right. So once again, I'll answer a few more comments, questions, all that stuff. As always, you could super chat. We can keep this thing going. The Brinks driver. I guess you didn't get Scott Woodward's address. Blake, you do need to change your man, because Eli broke my heart too. He's a beast. I actually don't agree with this, even though both are very far-fetched. I mean, those are two of the least likely candidates that are going to take this job. Jonah, is this your first joke candidate? Remember, there was a one limit. I just got a really cool message. From Scott Smith. Let's go. Cristobal. Chris, we'll see you Tuesday night, man. And we'll have a video tomorrow at 6. So I know a lot of you want the Texas A&M film study. I don't think I'm going to be able to do a Texas A&M film study until the coach is hired. So it might take a while. Okay. Coach O. Britt, you said you had to go bathe. I was shocked you gave me that information. Luke Fickle will be announced. We're playing Maryland. Maryland's awful. Shout out to Coach Loxley. Man, their best wide receiver had his leg snapped in two on a kickoff return. And I don't know why Saban's the best coach of all time. But why are his best players all on special teams? It's interesting. Joe Exotic. PJ, what it do? Saban has always used starters on special teams. That's true. But the year after Jalen Waddle gets hurt on a kickoff return, I would not have my number 2 wide receiver on kickoff return. I wouldn't have my number 1 wide receiver, the gunner, on punt team. You mean any of the other 5-star athletes he has on the team he wouldn't put at gunner? JJ, where you been? So you know what's interesting, Hunt? In soccer, a lot of the legendary players become coaches. Zinedine Zidane, my guy, Steven Gerrard, coming back to coach Aston Villa. Xavi came back and coach Barcelona. Johan Cruyff. I mean, the list goes on and on. So it's weird because, like in other sports, there's a lot of legendary players who don't coach and a lot of players who do come back to coach. If you actually go look at college football coaches, most of them are like quarterbacks at like D2 or D3 schools. So like Napier was a quarterback at Furman. Coach O was a player in Northwestern. James Franklin was a quarterback at some D2 or D3 school. So it's always interesting, like how different where the coaches come from. Oh, Ted Lasso's amazing. I actually had a Ted Lasso reference earlier. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. This was a fun chat. I am worn out. I feel like my body's about to fall apart. And we'll be back tomorrow. We'll have a video tomorrow around 6 p.m. Central, unless a coach gets hired before then. We might just go live. Once again, part of the reason why I didn't do a recorded video is because this is obviously a very fluid situation. So we'll see you tomorrow. We also got some really cool things in the works for you, the viewer. Once again, shout out to Greg for joining the Booger Band Club. Shout out to you. Shout out to all our top super chatters. Our top super chatter tonight was Trey. Also, last night, shout out to Jason. Shout out to the Master Blaster. Shout out to Robert, King Robert. Always dropping some very generous donations. I really appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central. It is, in the words of JJ, power, Hour LSU. Boom. Let's do this thing, Scott. And someone call Ed Orgeron. I want to meet him. I want to meet with him on the beaches in Florida. Me and Coach O hanging out, drinking some Zimas, enjoying life. Let's go.